Chapter 18. After the guards left, Zhang Daji finally struggled to stand up from the ground. He looked at Qin Haodong fiercely and said, "Boy, how dare you hit me? Do you know who I am?" Qin Haodong didn't speak, but there was a trace of disdain in the corner of his mouth. He was not interested in Zhang Daji's identity at all. No matter how noble Zhang Daji's identity was, he was just an ant in the eyes of Emperor Greenwood. At most, he was a little stronger. Zhang Daji thought that Qin Haodong was afraid, so he continued to shout, "If you offend the Zhang family, you will disappear from Jiangnan City." Nalan Wushuang looked serious. "Zhang Daji, Dr. Qin is a distinguished guest of the Nalan family. If you dare to disrespect him, even your father can't protect you." Zhang Daji really didn't have the courage to face the Nalan family. He snorted and stared at Qin Haodong viciously. Then he left bitterly. Seeing that Qin Haodong didn't speak, Nalan Wushuang thought that he was frightened by Zhang Daji. She comforted him and said, "Dr. Qin, don't be afraid. If Zhang Daji dares to make trouble for you, just tell me. The Nalan family will never let him go." "Afraid?" Qin Haodong shook his head disdainfully and said with a smile, "The one who can make me afraid hasn't been born yet. I'm just curious that a woman with such a bad temper like you has a suitor." "You?" Nalan Wushuang stamped her feet hard, turned her head and walked forward. Soon they came to a spacious courtyard. The security here was much tighter than in other places, which showed the status of the Nalan family in the entire military area. After entering the courtyard, they saw a Mercedes-Benz minibus and 5 luxury cars parked in the courtyard. Each of these cars was worth more than 1,000,000 yuan. Among them, the most eye-catching was a brand-new black sports car. The car's appearance was extremely beautiful and full of aggression. The most surprising thing was that the entire car's body was not painted in any color. It was completely made of carbon fiber and looked both luxurious and simple. "Oh my God, this is a Lamborghini Centenario?" Nalan Wushuang opened her mouth in surprise. She quickly walked to the black sports car and touched it with both hands. Her eyes were full of love. Qin Haodong was not very good at this kind of luxury car. He touched his chin and asked, "Why? Is this car expensive?" Nalan Wushuang said while admiring the sports car, "It's more than expensive. It's a new car specially built to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the birth of Lamborghini's founder. The price is more than 40 million yuan, and this car is limited to 20 in the world. Ordinary people can't buy it even if they have money." "So expensive?" Although Qin Haodong was not interested in luxury cars, he was still shocked by the price. It was even more valuable than the Korean ginseng in his hand. Nalan Wushuang said, "It's a little expensive, but this car is absolutely worth the price. The acceleration time of Lamborghini is only 8 seconds, and the top speed can reach 350 kilometers per hour. Furthermore, it has excellent braking performance. From a speed of 100 kilometers per hour to a stop, it only needs a distance of 30 meters. She was very familiar with sports cars and could not stop talking about them. Qin Haodong said, "Let's go see the old man." Nalan Wushuang remembered that she was going to take Qin Haodong to see Nalan Jia. She took out her mobile phone and took a few photos of Lamborghini Centenario. Then she reluctantly left and walked inside with Qin Haodong. In the spacious hall, Nalan Jia was wearing comfortable exercise clothes and sitting on a large leather sofa. Opposite him stood a young man in his 20s. Behind the young man stood a tall, bearded foreigner who looked very arrogant. Beside the foreigner, there were 7 or 8 people who looked like assistants, all holding various medical equipment and tools in their hands. "Grandpa, this is Dr. James, the most famous thoracic and pulmonary expert of the World Medical Association of M country. I specially invited him to see you." The young man said respectfully to Nalan Jia. He was Nalan Wufeng, Nalan Jia's grandson. Nalan Jia had 4 sons. The eldest son, Nalan Hongfei, was in politics and had entered the center of Jiangnan province. The second son, Nalan Hongxiang, and the third son, Nalan Hongjun, had occupied a position in the army. The fourth son, Nalan Hongyi, was in business and had a net worth of hundreds of millions. Nalan Wufeng was the son of the second son, Nalan Hongxiang. Although he was the eldest grandson of the Nalan family, he was not favored by Nalan Jia because he was ignorant and incompetent. He only knew how to eat, drink and have fun all day long. Although he had no ability, he knew the position of the old man in the Nalan family. He knew that pleasing the old man was more important than anything else, so this time he spent a lot of money to invite Dr. James from M country to treat the old man. "Forget it. He can't cure the disease. I have invited Dr. Qin to see the disease. Let him go back," Nalan Jia said. With the financial resources of the Nalan family, They had invited countless famous doctors over the years, but none of them could cure Nalin Jie's disease. He had lost confidence in these so-called experts and professors. Nalin Wufeng was a little anxious and said quickly, "Grandpa, Dr. James is not an ordinary expert. He is the most important core member of the World Medical Association. I invited him to Wuxia through many connections. He is much better than ordinary doctors. Please let him see the disease." This time he did spend a lot of energy and money to invite James to Wuxia. He promised $1 million for the consultation fee. Naturally, he didn't want to fail. After that, he winked at Wang Dawei, the healthcare doctor behind Nalin Jie. Wang Dawei understood and leaned over to Nalin Jie's ear and said, "Sir, this Dr. James is really famous. I have read his papers in many magazines. He is especially good at treating lung diseases. Why don't you let him have a try? Otherwise, Wufeng's filial piety will be wasted." Nalin Jie thought about it and said, "Well, since he is here, let him have a try. But hurry up. Don't delay Dr. Qin's treatment." Seeing that the old man agreed, Nalin Wufeng's face lit up. He turned to the bearded man and said, "Dr. James, thank you." James nodded proudly and then waved his hand. The assistants behind him began to prepare all kinds of equipment for Nalin Jie's examination. Seeing these foreigners began to work, Nalin Wufeng came to Wang Dawei and asked in a low voice, "Brother Wang, who is this Dr. Qin that the old man mentioned?" Nalin Jie had just mentioned Dr. Qin twice, which aroused his curiosity. In his impression, Nalin Jie had never respected and trusted a doctor so much. "I didn't see him either. Miss Wu Shuang went to pick him up. I heard that he is a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. Yesterday he let the old man take a 12-hour medicinal bath." A traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. Can traditional Chinese medicine cure diseases? Nalin Wufeng showed a trace of disdain. He was sent abroad to study at the age of 10. He received Western education and returned to Wuxia in recent years. Naturally, he had no good impression of traditional Chinese medicine. When Qin Haodong and Nalin Wushuang entered the room, they saw James and his assistants busy around Nalin Jie. Nalin Wushuang was slightly stunned. In the plan, there were no other doctors to treat the old man. Why did a group of foreigners suddenly come? What was going on? She was about to speak but was stopped by Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong took Nalin Wushuang to the corner and wanted to see how Western medicine treated the disease of meridian blockage. Because everyone's attention was on Nalin Jie, no one noticed the arrival of the two of them. It had to be said that the efficiency of James's team was very high. Soon a large pile of medical data was sent to him. He read the examination results page by page. Nalin Wufeng stepped forward and asked, "Mr. James, how is my grandfather's illness?" "It's very bad. There are a lot of necrotic cells in the patient's lungs." When the bearded foreigner opened his mouth, he actually spoke fluent Wuxia language. Although it was a little stiff, it was still understandable. Qin Haodong frowned slightly. It seemed that in the eyes of Western medicine, the part of Nalin Jie's blocked meridians had been regarded as necrotic cells. "What should we do? Can it be cured?" Nalin Wufeng asked. "The World Medical Association has the most advanced medical technology in the world, and I am the best thoracic and pulmonary expert in the association. Although this disease is a little complicated, it can be cured," James said with a proud face. "Great, thank you, Dr. James." Nalin Wufeng looked happy. If the doctor he found could cure Nalin Jie, his status in the Nalin family would be steadily improved, and he would not be as embarrassed as now. "Dr. James, how should we treat it?" "Surgery. Surgery is the best way to treat the old gentleman. Cut off the necrotic lungs to prevent the disease area from further expanding." James said to Nalin Wufeng, "You should contact the best hospital in Wuxia. I will do the surgery myself. The success rate can reach more than 95%. Hearing this, Nalin Wushuang couldn't help but step forward and said, "Do you think the lungs are an appendix? It will cause great damage to my grandfather's body if you cut it like that." After seeing Nalin Wushuang, Nalin Wufeng said with a smile, "Wushuang, when did you come?" Although he was the eldest grandson of the Nalin family, Nalin Wushuang was more favored by the old man, so her status was much higher than his. Nalin Wushuang glared at him and said, "What kind of doctor did you find? Why do you want to remove the lungs for Grandpa?" Before Nalin Wufeng could speak, James said, "Beautiful lady, you don't know medicine at all. There are 5 lobes in the human lung. Removing 2 or 3 lobes won't do much harm as long as you pay attention to rest and take good care of your body. And the old man's condition is very serious. If the operation is not done in time, he can only live for 3 to 6 months." Nalin Wufeng followed and said, Yes, Wuxia, Dr. James is the best doctor in the world. His proposal must be the best treatment. Bullshit. Nalan Jia was angry. He sat up from the bed and asked, what do you mean by not doing much harm? If half of the lungs are removed, can I still practice martial arts? That's impossible. You must have a good rest after the operation. You can't do strenuous exercise. James said. How long can my life be prolonged according to your treatment plan? Chapter 19. Although he didn't know who the young man was, James still replied, if I do the operation he can live for at least 2 or 3 years. Qin Haodong glanced at him and sneered, what a joke. You brought so much harm to the patient. Removing half of the lung can only exchange for 2 or 3 years of life. How dare you say that you are the best thoracic and pulmonary doctor in the world? Who gave you the courage? In my opinion, you are a quack. James suddenly got angry and his face turned red. For so many years, it was the first time that someone dared to call him a quack. He said to Qin Haodong angrily, who are you? Do you know medicine or not? Based on the patient's current condition, what I proposed is the best treatment plan. No one else can treat it. I am the best thoracic and pulmonary doctor in the world, and I am a world-recognized expert. Nalan Wufeng also asked with a cold face, who are you? How did you sneak in? Is there any place for you to speak here? Where are the guards? Get him out of here. Shut up. Nalan Jia said angrily, this is Dr. Qin whom I invited. Dr. Qin? Nalan Wufeng looked at Qin Haodong, and his expression became more disdainful. Didn't Chinese medicine doctors have a lot of eyebrows and beards? How could there be such a young doctor? Grandpa, have you been cheated? How could he be a doctor? Either shut up or get out of here. Don't talk nonsense here. Nalan Jia reprimanded Nalan Wufeng angrily. He came back yesterday as Qin Haodong said and took a 12-hour medicinal bath. He felt much better than before and even had a good night's sleep. Compared with the bearded man who wanted to cut off his lung, he naturally believed Qin Haodong more. Seeing that the old man was really angry, Nalan Wufeng shrank his neck and retreated to one side, not daring to speak again. However, James was not afraid of Nalan Jia. He said to Qin Haodong, impossible. You can't be a doctor. According to your age, you should not have graduated. How could you be a doctor? Qin Haodong said, I am a Chinese medicine doctor. We Chinese medicine doctors focus on medical skills, not on age and seniority. Chinese medicine doctor? Ha ha ha. Traditional Chinese medicine. James laughed so hard that his beard was stained with saliva. As he laughed, he turned around and said to his assistants, did you hear that? This is the funniest joke in the world. Traditional Chinese medicine actually came out to treat illnesses. Qin Haodong frowned and said in a cold voice, why? Is it funny? What a joke. Of course it's funny. James said, you can ask the World Medical Association. Everyone knows that traditional Chinese medicine is a lie. It's a feudal superstition and witchcraft. No one believes that traditional Chinese medicine can cure diseases. If you don't believe in TCM, that's because you're ignorant. Qin Haodong turned back and pointed to Nalan Jia and said, Mr. Nalan's disease, if we use traditional Chinese medicine to treat it, we not only don't need to remove the lungs, but also can fully recover and at least extend his life by 10 years. I just heard the funniest joke in the world and now I'm hearing the biggest bragging in the world. In your Chinese language this is called bragging, right? I've long heard that you Wuxia people like to brag and today I finally see it. James shook his big head as he spoke. He said the word bragged in his stiff Wuxia language, which was extremely ear-piercing. His assistants laughed along with him again. Qin Haodong stopped Nalan Wushuang, who was about to lose her temper, and said to James coldly, since you don't believe in traditional Chinese medicine, how about we make a bet? But okay. How do you want to bet? James was famous for his arrogance in the World Medical Association, and he didn't take Qin Haodong seriously at this time. Let's bet on Mr. Nalan's disease. I say I can cure him within half an hour. No, it's impossible. It's impossible even if it's half a year, let alone half an hour. Traditional Chinese medicine can't cure diseases at all. Why can't you Wuxia people change the habit of bragging? James shook his head with a face of disbelief. Qin Haodong said in a cold voice, do you dare to bet? Of course I dare. Why not? Tell me, what do you want to bet? This Korean ginseng is worth 10 million yuan. If you win, you can take the ginseng away. If you lose, you must kneel down to me in public and apologize to traditional Chinese medicine in the world's well-known media. James glanced at the Korean ginseng in the big red brocade box. Although it was a Western medicine, he could see that this ginseng was absolutely authentic and valuable. "Are you sure you want to bet with me with it?" James said incredulously. In his opinion, he was sure to win this bet, and he didn't understand why this Wuxia man would take out such a heavy bet. "Of course I'm sure. Today I'll show you ignorant people what traditional Chinese medicine is." "Well, I agree to all your conditions, but you can't deny it if you lose." James immediately agreed. Although Qin Haodong's conditions would make him lose face, and although they were a little harsh, he never thought he would lose. He had just seen the results of Nailan Jie's examination. Even their god could not completely cure him. Qin Haodong ignored the foreigner and turned to Nailan Wushuang and said, "I'll start to treat the old man now. You make a record with your mobile phone in case the foreigner doesn't admit it if he loses." Nailan Wushuang nodded and took out her mobile phone to start recording. Qin Haodong let Nailan Jie get out of bed and sit on a stool. He first felt Nailan Jie's pulse to make sure that the cold in his body had been cleared by the medicinal bath. Then he took out a marrow-cleansing pill and gave it to the old man. After all, Nailan Jie's meridians had been blocked for too long. Coupled with the cold attribute of his cultivation method, the meridians had been eroded by the cold for a long time and had been quite fragile. If forced to dredge, it was easy to cause the meridians to break. This marrow-cleansing pill could increase the tenacity and strength of the meridians. After all, Qin Haodong took out the needle bag and soon stabbed 40 or 50 silver needles in Nailan Jie's chest. With the help of the efficacy of the marrow-cleansing pill, he began to dredge the blocked meridians in the lungs. Nailan Jie had been injured for a long time. In addition, the meridians were seriously blocked. Qin Haodong did not dare to use too much force, so the treatment was time-consuming and laborious. About 20 minutes later, a fine layer of sweat began to ooze from his forehead. Suddenly, Qin Haodong raised his hand and slapped Nailan Jie on the back. Nailan Jie opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of black blood. When the black blood fell to the ground, it immediately emitted a stinky smell. If you looked closely, you could see some black lumps. Nailan Wufeng had been watching nervously. When he saw Qin Haodong beat Nailan Jie to spit blood, he immediately cried, "What happened? How did you treat the disease? Why did you beat my grandfather to spit blood? Don't talk nonsense if you don't understand. Can you cure the disease if you don't spit out the blood?" Qin Haodong raised his hand and took back all the silver needles in Nailan Jie's chest. Then he turned to James and said, "I've finished the treatment. It's time for you to fulfill your bet." "What? Impossible. I suspect that your random treatment has aggravated the patient's condition. It's just messing around. How can you cure the disease like this? If you were in M country, you would be arrested and put in jail for stabbing people with needles like this." James looked excited and his big beard shook as he spoke. He had lived for more than 40 years, but he had never seen a doctor touch the wrist, stab the needle, and finally spit blood. In his opinion, this was not treatment at all, but nonsense. The old man has been cured. What else do you have to doubt? While speaking, Nailan Jie suddenly stood up. His face was red and he was full of energy. Qin Haodong not only dredged the meridians in his lungs, but also adjusted his body with the marrow-cleansing pill. At this time, the old man's physiological function was at least 20 years younger. He had never felt so good. Nailan Jie turned to Qin Haodong and said, "Thank you, little magic doctor. Thank you so much." Nailan Wushuang and Nailan Wufeng were stunned. They opened their mouths wide but could not speak. In just 20 minutes, Grandpa seemed to be a different person. His medical skills were too amazing. James cried, No. You are a group. You are acting. You Huaxia people not only like to brag but also like to act. By the way, you are called a two-man show. It's all prepared in advance. I won't be fooled." Qin Haodong looked at him and smiled. He had expected that the foreigner would not believe the results of his treatment. He said, "You can test it with the instrument. What you brought won't lie to you, will it?" "Yes, I want to expose your lies and let the world see how Chinese medicine deceives people." James began to command his assistants to carry out the second physical examination for Nailan Jie. Nailan Jie also wanted to know how much he had recovered, so he was very cooperative with the examination. Soon a stack of test results was sent to James. My God, what the hell happened? James looked at the results in his hand, and his hands began to tremble. Nailan Jie's 2 lung lobes, which had necrotic cells just now, had regained their vitality. There was no sign of illness at all. Moreover, the physical test data were much better than the results just now. Ordinary young men did not have such physical fitness. If he hadn't brought these equipment from M country, if he hadn't tested Nailan Jie himself, if he hadn't had the results in his hand half an hour ago, he would never believe it was true. Qin Haodong said with a smile, Mr. James, what do you think? Don't tell me that your machine is also playing a two-man show with me? My God, this is a miracle. It's amazing. James held the test results in his hand and still couldn't believe it was true. It's our Chinese medicine that's magical. It has nothing to do with your God. Qin Haodong said with a cold look, don't talk nonsense. Hurry up and fulfill the bet. As soon as he said that, everyone's eyes focused on James's bearded face. According to the previous bet, he would kneel down and kowtow to Tang Long, and at the same time apologize to Chinese medicine in the world's well-known media. But James was a famous medical expert of the World Medical Association. He was so arrogant just now. How could he lower his proud head to this young man now? Chapter 20. Qin Haodong sneered, do you think this is the previous dynasty? Foreigners are superior to Wuxia people? In my eyes there is only a bet, no joke. Whether you are from Wuxia or M country, you have to honor the bet if you lose. Naylan Wufeng cried, that's impossible. Mr. James is an expert of the World Medical Association. How could he kneel down to you and worship you as his teacher? Expert? Do you think he can be called an expert in front of me? In my opinion, his medical skills are worthless. Naylan Wufeng was about to say something, but James knelt down in front of Qin Haodong and said excitedly, teacher, you're right. My medical skills are nothing in front of the magic of traditional Chinese medicine. I want to worship you as my teacher. I want to learn the magic of traditional Chinese medicine from you. Then he put his palms together, bowed to Qin Haodong and then began to kowtow. What the hell? What's going on? Qin Haodong was also a little confused by James' sudden change. Shouldn't this bearded foreigner deny it for the sake of face? Even if he honored the bet, shouldn't he look aggrieved? Why did he look like he had picked up a treasure? Besides, what the hell was he doing? That's not how you kowtow to your teacher. Why did you put your palms together? You're worshipping Buddha, okay? James didn't know where he learned this way of kowtowing. He bowed to Qin Haodong 3 times as if he was worshipping Buddha. Although he was usually arrogant and haughty, he did have some real skills. Moreover, his medical skills had reached the level of obsession. Today he saw the magic medical skills Qin Haodong displayed, so he was completely convinced, so he immediately knelt down and kowtowed to worship him as his teacher. Teacher, please accept me. I want to learn the magic of traditional Chinese medicine from you. I want to learn medical skills from you, James said with a sincere expression. Qin Haodong was speechless. The plot shouldn't be like this. The reason why he made James kneel down and worship him as a teacher was to help the declining traditional Chinese medicine keep up appearances. He never thought of teaching this foreigner medical skills. Now James was chasing him to worship him as his teacher. He didn't know what to do for a while. Seeing that he didn't agree, James said eagerly, Teacher, I really want to learn medical skills from you. You can rest assured that I can bear it. Come on, prick me with needles. I can definitely bear it. What was going on? Qin Haodong felt that there were 10,000 South American alpacas running through his heart, and they were still playing happily. Why did this foreigner's words sound so awkward? He actually shouted with the charm of pouring oil and dripping wax. Was he that kind of person? The others were also stunned on the spot, especially Naylan Wufeng, whose eyeballs almost fell to the ground. He had wanted to help James find a way to get out of the bet, but he didn't expect that the foreigner was scrambling to kneel on the ground to worship him. Get up first. Qin Haodong thought for a moment and said, I'll take you as my nominal disciple first. But if you want to learn Chinese medicine, you must first learn the Wuxia language well. When you pass the Wuxia language test, come to me to learn. This was the delaying tactic he thought of. He wanted to send this foreigner away for the time being and think about the future later. Teacher, my wife is from Wuxia. We usually talk in Wuxia, so my Wuxia language is very good. I can learn it now. James stood up from the ground, but his face was still anxious. Well? Qin Haodong finally understood why the bearded foreigner spoke Wuxia language so well. It turned out that he married a Wuxia woman. Do you know what yin and yang are? What are the 5 elements? What is yin and yang sheep? Is it a special species in Wuxia? James asked with a blank face. Obviously, he only knew some daily Wuxia language and knew nothing about Wuxia culture. Go back and learn from your wife. When you understand yin and yang and the 5 elements, you can learn Chinese medicine. Qin Haodong said seriously, and don't forget your promise. Hurry back and apologize to Chinese medicine in the world media. Teacher, when I learn Chinese and figure out what the sheep is, I'll come to you to learn Chinese medicine. James's original arrogance had long disappeared. At this time he looked respectful. Teacher, don't worry. As soon as I return to M country, I will fulfill my promise. I must let more people know what Chinese medicine is and let them know the magic of Chinese medicine. Then he turned to Nalan Wufeng and said, Mr. Nalan, please send me back. I'm going to settle accounts with those who slander traditional Chinese medicine. How could they call such a magical medical skill a liar? Damn it. Nalan Wufeng was depressed. He didn't expect that the world-famous expert he had spent a lot of money to not only failed to cure his grandfather's disease, but also became his apprentice. But things could not be changed at this point. He took out a car key with a Lamborghini logo and said to Nalan Jie, Grandpa, I'll send Mr. James back to China. It's Sister Wuxia's birthday in a few days. I bought a car to give her as a gift. I'll leave it with you first. Nalan Wushuang knew that the Lamborghini Centenario was a birthday gift for her cousin Nalan Wuxia by Nalan Wufeng. Nalan Wuxia was the daughter of Nalan Hongfei. It seemed that he wanted to please Nalan Hongfei with such a valuable gift. Nalan Wufeng put the car key on the tea table next to him and then left with James and others. After these people left, Nalan Jie dismissed all the healthcare doctors and guards. He said respectfully again, Little Magic Doctor, you saved my life. You will be a great benefactor of our Nalan family in the future. Well said. Qin Haodong nodded slightly and said, the blocked meridians in your lungs have been dredged, but you'd better not practice cultivation method. Your family's mental cultivation method is cold. If you continue to practice it, it will hurt these meridians. Nalan Jie's face changed. He had practiced the mental cultivation method for so many years, and now he had reached the small realm. He was not willing to give it up like this. No matter who was used to having extraordinary power, it was a very painful thing to suddenly lose it. Qin Haodong looked at Nalan Wushuang again and said, there is really something wrong with your family's mental cultivation method. Don't practice it in the future or don't think about being a mother in this life. Nalan Wushuang's face changed greatly. She had been obsessed with martial arts since she was a child, so she pestered her grandfather to practice this cultivation method. But as a woman she didn't want to lose the right to be a mother. Nalan Jie said eagerly, Little Magic Doctor, I know you are a master. Can you think of some ways? Our Nalan family will never forget your great kindness. Although Nalan Wushuang didn't speak, she also looked at Qin Haodong eagerly. Qin Haodong hesitated for a moment. He felt that the grandfather and grandson of the Nalan family were really good, so he said, well, practice it for me. Seeing that Qin Haodong promised to help, Nalan Jie looked happy. He immediately sat cross-legged and began to practice the Nalan family's family cultivation method. About half an hour later, Nalan Jie's genuine qi ran a big circle, and Qin Haodong basically saw it. No wonder this kind of cultivation method would cause so much harm to the human body. There were too many loopholes. Well, don't practice it. He said to Nalan Jie, your family's cultivation method is flawed. Nalan Jie said, there are indeed flaws. The ancestors mentioned it when they passed it down, but it's very rare to have a set of mental cultivation method for internal strength. How can I care so much about it? Because of this, later the descendants of the Nalan family didn't like to practice martial arts, and I didn't force them. Only Wushuang and Wuxia liked to play with spears and sticks since childhood. They chased me to learn, so I passed it on to them. Qin Haodong said, well, I just saw that there are a total of 18 flaws in your family's cultivation method. I'll help you modify it and then there will be no problem. What? You want to modify our Nalan family's cultivation method? Who do you think you are? A martial arts guru? Nalan Wushuang didn't believe it. Although she knew that Qin Haodong's medical skills were superb, modifying cultivation methods was not a medical practice. Those who could create cultivation methods were all gurus. Although the Nalan family's cultivation method was a little worse and had some flaws, it could not be changed by anyone. Moreover, the mental cultivation method of internal strength was very important. A little carelessness would lead to qigong deviation, which was related to people's lives. Qin Haodong smiled slightly. He was one of the 5 immortal emperors in the cultivation world. His knowledge was far beyond ordinary people's imagination. It was as easy as eating and drinking to modify such a low version of cultivation method. However, this kind of thing depended on fate. If the Nalan family believed him, he would give them some advice. If they didn't believe him, it was okay. Anyway, he had just cured Nalan Jie and repaid the 100-year-old blood ginseng. Because of this, he didn't speak, just looked at Nalan Jie quietly. Nalan Jie hesitated for a moment, but soon said, then I'll have to trouble you, Little Magic Doctor. Seeing that the old man chose to believe him so quickly, Qin Haodong nodded slightly in his heart. He deserved to be the head of the Nalan family. He was knowledgeable and decisive. Nalan Wushuang was still worried and said, Grandpa, how can this be? What if he changes it randomly and goes Qigong deviation? Nalan Jie smiled and said, there's nothing to be afraid of. My life was originally saved by the little magic doctor. Even if I throw it away, it's not a loss. Besides, I believe that the little magic doctor can create miracles. After that, he turned to Qin Haodong and said, little magic doctor, thank you. If you can help me get through this, the Nalan family will reward you. Qin Haodong was far less solemn than the grandfather and grandson. He said lightly, practice again. Just change the route of running according to what I said. Nalan Jie sat cross-legged again and began to run the family cultivation method. After a while, Qin Haodong shouted, the genuine qi goes from the Jinmen acupoint to the foot Shaoyang gallbladder meridian, around the Qitsuan Yangjiao acupoint. This way of running the genuine qi was completely different from the Nalan family's cultivation method. However, since he chose to believe Qin Haodong, Nalan Jie did not hesitate to change the route of the genuine qi. Soon he knew that Qin Haodong was right. After changing the route, the coldness in the past did not rise from the pubic region. On the contrary, there was a warm and extremely comfortable feeling. This change made Nalan Jie believe in Qin Haodong more. The next 17 defects were completely changed according to his guidance. Chapter 21. Breakthrough. I actually broke through. Nalan Jie's old face, which was originally calm, suddenly showed a drastic change of emotion, and he was extremely excited. Originally, he thought that he could only stop at his current cultivation in this life. Unexpectedly, under the guidance of Qin Haodong, he easily broke through the previous bottleneck and reached the realm of covert power. Little magic doctor, from now on, you will be the great benefactor of our Nalan family. Nalan Jie stood up and bowed deeply to Qin Haodong. It's nothing. It's just a piece of cake. Qin Haodong said casually and accepted Nalan Jie's bow calmly. This kind of thing, which was almost impossible in the eyes of others, was trivial to him. Grandpa, why do you give him such a big bow? Nalan Wushuang was very surprised by Grandpa's performance. What was his identity? Not to mention in the south of the Yangtze River, even in the whole Wuxia, no one could afford such a big bow from Nalan Jie. At the same time, she glared at Qin Haodong with eyes full of blame. How could he let the old man bow to him? Nalan Jie turned back and said, what do you know? With the great kindness of the little magic doctor to our Nalan family, of course he deserves my bow. You also come over and give your thanks to the little divine doctor. This, Nalan Wushuang was stunned. If she had known this, she would not have said so much. Now she also had to bow to this guy. Her mood was quite complicated now. She was grateful to Qin Haodong for saving Nalan Jie, and angry that he had teased her again and again before. She was quite unwilling to bow and thank him. However, she dared not disobey Nalan Jie's words, so she had to bow in front of Qin Haodong. She wore a white round collar t-shirt today. When she bent down, the infinite spring scene poured out from the collar. Qin Haodong's heart skipped a beat when he saw it. He secretly thought that this girl was really hot. Nalan Jie took the car key left by Nalan Wufeng and sent it to Qin Haodong. Little magic doctor, you have helped our Nalan family so much. Please accept this car. Nalan Wushuang could not help crying. Grandpa, this car can't be given away. Brother Tang left it to my sister. Nalan Jie's face darkened and he said, it's just a car. Why can't I give it to you? I can give it to you. After that, he took out a purple gold card from his pocket and gave it to Qin Haodong. Little magic doctor, please accept this card. Nalan Wushuang's expression changed greatly. She cried, Grandpa, this is your golden card. How can you give it away? Now, she even suspected that her grandfather's brain had been stimulated during the treatment to give away such expensive gifts in succession. Nalan Jie said, what's the use of this thing? Who in the Nalan family doesn't know me? Do I still need a card? It turned out that there was only one Grand Supreme Gold card. It was specially made by Nalan family for Nalan Jie. It was a symbol of status. With this card, not only did he not have to spend a penny in Nalan family's industry, but he also enjoyed all the priority and withdrawal rights. He could withdraw 100 million yuan of funds from Nalan family's industry at any time with this card. Because of the particularity of this card, Nalan Wushuang was shocked when Nalan Jie gave it to her. Although Qin Haodong couldn't see the value of these two things, he didn't care and put them in his pocket. Not to mention anything else, just the cultivation technique that he had just modified would definitely be a priceless treasure if he really took it out. Nalan Wushuang didn't expect Qin Haodong to be so rude and directly accepted Nalan Jie's gift. Just when she wanted to say something, her face suddenly turned pale and her expression was full of pain. She squatted on the ground with her hands tightly covering her lower abdomen. "Girl, how are you?" Nailan Jie remembered that his illness had been cured, but Nailan Wushuang's illness caused by the cold of cultivation method had not been cured. "Little magic doctor, Wushuang's illness is acting up again. Please help this girl." Qin Haodong looked at Nailan Wushuang, who looked painful, and said, "Give me your hand." Nailan Wushuang's face was pale with pain. At this time, she had no time to think more and immediately gave her right hand as instructed. Qin Haodong held her soft little hand and transferred pure green with genuine qi to it. Soon the painful look on Nailan Wushuang's face subsided a lot. "Open your mouth." Qin Haodong sent a marrow-cleansing pill to Nailan Wushuang's mouth. Nailan Wushuang had just seen Nailan Jie take this kind of small pill. She knew it was a good thing for treatment, so she directly opened her mouth and swallowed it. But when her red lips touched Qin Haodong's hand, she realized that this action of swallowing was a little ambiguous, and quickly lowered her head shyly. Because Nailan Wushuang's cultivation time was shorter, her illness was much lighter than Nailan Jie's. It was relatively easy to treat. After 5 minutes, the cold in her body had been removed. Qin Haodong said, "Well, remember to practice the modified cultivation method in the future. Then why don't you let go?" Nailan Wushuang glared at Qin Haodong. This guy had obviously finished the treatment, but he still grabbed her hand. "I'm consolidating the treatment," Qin Haodong said righteously. This guy was so thick-skinned. He was obviously taking advantage of her, but he said it so confidently. When Nailan Wushuang was about to argue with Qin Haodong, she suddenly felt a heat in her lower abdomen, and a stream of heat flowed down quickly. It turned out that her body was eroded by the cold. She used to have menstruation, but now the cold was gone, and her menstruation immediately became very enthusiastic. The huge flow was a little unbearable for her, and she even felt that her tight jeans were soaked. She had never felt so embarrassed when facing a big man, and her cheeks were so red that blood was about to drip out. She quickly turned around and ran to the bathroom. Looking at Nailan Wushuang's weird running posture, Qin Haodong's face showed a playful smile. This little girl was always looking for trouble with him. It was right to let her suffer a little. Now that the disease had been treated, there was no need for him to stay any longer. He got up and said goodbye to Nailan Jie. 5 minutes later, a black Lamborghini sports car appeared on the highway of Jiangnan City, attracting countless envious eyes. Here Qin Haodong drove quickly to the downtown of Jiangnan City. In the military sanatorium, Nailan Wushuang sat in front of Nailan Jie again. "Grandpa, is the reward you gave him too expensive? That Lamborghini Centenario is a luxury car worth more than 40 million yuan, and it is a birthday gift from my cousin to my little sister. I'm afraid they will be unhappy if you give it away like this." "How dare they? The little magic doctor has helped our family so much. A car is nothing." Nailan Jie stared and said, "There are still some days before Wuxia's birthday. Let the boy prepare another gift. If he can't, he can buy another one." Nailan Wushuang secretly grinned, thinking that it was not as simple as he thought. This kind of limited edition car was not cabbage, which could be bought with money. The most important thing was that when she was free, she had sent the photos of the car to Nailan Wuxia and told her about the birthday gift. Now this car was given to Qin Haodong by Nailan Jie. According to Nailan Wuxia's character, she would be furious when she knew it. She dared not do anything to Nailan Jie, but Qin Haodong must be in trouble. But she could only hold these words in her stomach. She dared not tell Nailan Jie, otherwise she would be reprimanded. "Grandpa, although he cured your disease, even if he is a national master of traditional Chinese medicine, it is enough to give him 1 or 2 million yuan. Last time the imperial doctor from the capital came to see you, you only gave him 100,000 yuan. He is just a little doctor. Is it necessary to give such a heavy reward? This car is okay, after all there is a price, but the supreme card can't be measured by money at all." Nailan Jie said, "You are still too short-sighted to see how much benefit the little magic doctor has brought to our Nailan family. The value of the cultivation method he modified alone is far more than the supreme card. Isn't it just helping to correct a few defects? Is it so exaggerated?" Nailan Wushuang said in surprise. There was a flash of excitement in Nailan Jie's eyes and he said, "It's not as simple as you said. After the cultivation method of our Nailan family was modified by the little magic doctor, there were no more defects, and the level was improved at least 2 levels. Do you know how important an internal cultivation method is to a family? It is absolutely a good thing that is hard to get. Otherwise, our Nailan family would not have known that this cultivation method had defects and still passed it down for so many years. If this cultivation method is taken outside now, there will be countless families willing to buy it at a sky-high price. It is not comparable to a car and a card at all. Nalan Wushuang opened her mouth in surprise. She never thought that the cultivation method Qin Haodong gave her would be so valuable and improved so much. So, it is our Nalan family who took advantage of that guy? Of course, the little magic doctor cured you and me. The 2 pills he gave us were worth a lot of gold. This time, our Nalan family benefited a lot. In addition, the invaluable cultivation method, it is not an exaggeration to say that the little magic doctor is the benefactor of our Nalan family. Nalan Wushuang nodded slightly and asked, Grandpa, there is one thing I still don't understand. It is clear that he has not learned our mental cultivation method. How did he find the defects? Nalan Jie said, this is the brilliance of the little magic doctor. Our Nalan family has been practicing this cultivation method for hundreds of years, but we can't find any clue to make up for the defects. But the little magic doctor has seen through it by just watching me do a big circle. In a twinkling of an eye, he made a flawless version. This kind of ability is terrible and terrible. If I'm not wrong, he must have a very high cultivation or a very great teacher. Such a person must be tried to make friends with by all means. We must not neglect him. If we offend him, there will be a disaster. Oh? Nalan Wushuang responded softly. She didn't expect that Qin Haodong was so important in her grandpa's mind. No wonder he sent big gifts one after another. Chapter 22. Grandpa, what are you talking about? Nalan Wushuang blushed and whispered, He said he had a daughter. This was also a thorn in her heart. Qin Haodong was handsome enough to make many girls scream. His medical skills were good and he was humorous and interesting. It really made Nalan Wushuang's maiden heart, which had been silent for many years, germinated. But when she thought that Qin Haodong had a daughter, she gave up. Anyway, she was the eldest daughter of the Nalan family, the goddess in the hearts of countless men. She had her own pride. How could she find a man with a child? Nalan Jie said carelessly, a man can't do without 3 wives and 4 concubines. An excellent man is naturally loved by women. It's normal to have more women. The beggars on the roadside have no wife or daughter, but who will like them? I have seen countless people over the years. The little magic doctor is definitely a rare dragon among men. If you don't see such a man, you will be gone. Nalan Wushuang couldn't speak for a while. Grandpa's words were beyond her expectation. Just a few days ago, a young master of an aristocratic family in the capital came to the Nalan family to propose marriage to her, but was directly rejected by Nalan Jie without any hesitation. She didn't expect that he valued Qin Haodong so much today. How should she face him? Qin Haodong drove Lamborghini Centenario fast and really felt the joy of driving. But when he arrived at the city, he still slowed down the speed. Shortly after entering the city, a wretched old man suddenly flashed from the side of the road and appeared in front of Lamborghini. He hurriedly stepped on the brake. It turned out that the name of Lamborghini Centenario was not just for show. The brake performance was really good. The car stopped 3 or 4 meters away from the old man. At this time, the old man had fallen in the middle of the road. Seeing the car parked in the distance, he looked slightly stunned. It seemed that he misjudged the brake performance of Lamborghini and failed to grasp the distance accurately. But the old man had his own way. With one elbow on the ground, he crawled forward quickly. He even had the courage to blow up a bunker. Then he plopped down in front of the wheel of Lamborghini. Someone was hit. Everyone, come and see, a luxury car hit someone, the old man screamed, and his face instantly revealed a painful expression. He clutched his chest for a while, then hugged his thigh for a while and kept rolling on the ground. Qin Haodong didn't expect that he would meet a blackmailer as soon as he got a new car. He got out of the car and came to the old man. He squatted down and said to the old man with a smile, "Sir, why don't you be an actor if you have such good acting skills? You can definitely get an Oscar or something. Why do you have to do this? If one day you meet a drunkard who drinks too much, you might really be sent there to report." "Cut the crap. You hit someone so you have to pay for it," the old man shouted. "Sir, you've got the wrong person today. I'm even poorer than you." What Qin Haodong said was true. Although he was driving a luxury car worth 40 million yuan, he only had a 1 yuan coin in his pocket and no more than a penny. Impossible. Don't bully an old man like me for being uncultured. I recognize your car, the old man said as he took out the latest Fruit mobile phone from his pocket. He quickly searched for the page of Lamborghini Centenario, pointed to the query result and said, "Look, it says clearly that your car is worth tens of millions. How can you be a poor person?" I tell you, give me at least 10,000 yuan today, not a penny less. Qin Haodong glanced at the old man's mobile phone and said, Sir, your business ability is very strong. You really keep up with the times. But I really don't have 10,000 yuan, but I have a 1 yuan coin. Do you want it? He said as he took out the coin from his pocket and gave it to the old man. Bah, do you think I'm a beggar? Now beggars don't accept a 1 yuan coin. The old man suddenly became furious and shouted at Qin Haodong, Why are you rich people so evil? You hit me and only give me 1 yuan. I tell you, at least 10,000 yuan today, or don't even think about driving the car away. What should I do? How about giving this car to you? Qin Haodong looked at the old man and said playfully, I don't want a car. What do I want that thing for? I just want money. Hurry up and give me money. The old man stepped forward and hugged Qin Haodong's thigh and cried. Qin Haodong took out his old dammy mobile phone from his pocket and gave it to the old man and said, Sir, look, I'm really poor. This mobile phone is not as good as yours. Don't cry to me about being poor. I've seen a lot of people like you. Don't try to fool me. It seemed that the old man was going to fight with him to the end. Qin Haodong looked at the people around and then lowered his head and said in the old man's ear, Sir, I'll tell you the truth. This car is not mine at all. The original car owner has been killed by me. I robbed this car. Look at my mobile phone and my clothes. Do I look like a rich person? After hearing this, the old man's body trembled slightly. He had been in this business for several years and had some knowledge about what kind of clothes a rich person wore. The young man in front of him was indeed wearing cheap clothes, which were not as valuable as his clothes. He really did not look like a person who could afford a luxury car. Thinking of this, he had already believed some of Qin Haodong's words, and a trace of fear slowly appeared in his eyes. I tell you now, the police are chasing me. I don't have time to waste with you. I'm going to get in the car now. If you lie here again, you'll have to think about the consequences. After Qin Haodong said this, he pulled out his right leg from the old man's arms and turned to get in the car. At this time, the old man had completely believed Qin Haodong's words. He thought that Qin Haodong was a robber and murderer. He quickly jumped up from the ground and flashed to the side of the road. Qin Haodong started the car and a smug smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Although the old man looked like he was in his 60s, he was nothing in front of Qin Haodong's more than 500 years of experience. He was too young to fight with him. Seeing that the old man had made way for him, he was about to drive forward when he saw a police car roaring and stopping in front of his car. The police blocked the road, so Qin Haodong could only park the car again and get out of the car. Two policemen got out of the police car, a man and a woman. The leader was a tall policewoman in her 20s. After seeing the policewoman, Qin Haodong's eyes lit up. This woman's figure was too good. Although she was wearing a tight uniform, she still gave people the feeling of seeing the sea. What a turbulent sea. Before the two policemen could speak, the wretched old man immediately ran over and shouted, Comrade police, I want to report the murderer. Is there a reward? The policewoman looked serious and asked the old man, What did you say? Who killed someone? It's him. This car was robbed by him. The original owner of the car was killed by him. After the wretched old man shouted, the onlookers were shocked and immediately moved away from Qin Haodong, completely exposing him and the Lamborghini to the policewoman's sight. Qin Haodong was speechless. He just wanted to scare the blackmailer old man and let him get out of here. He didn't expect to make such a big mistake. Comrade police, it's not like this. He wanted to explain to the policewoman, but before he finished speaking, the policewoman took a look at the Lamborghini Centenario. Her expression suddenly changed. She took a pistol from her waist and pointed it at him and shouted, Don't move, raise your hands. Oh my God. Qin Haodong smiled bitterly. He didn't expect things to turn out like this. However, facing the policewoman's gun, he could only raise his hands very cooperatively. Comrade police, I tell you, this old man is blackmailing. I just wanted to scare him. There's no such thing as robbing the car. This car is mine, Qin Haodong tried to explain, but the policewoman didn't listen at all. She took out the handcuffs from her waist and handcuffed his hands behind his back. After that, the policewoman handed Qin Haodong to the male policeman and took him to the police car. She drove the Lamborghini Centenario back to the criminal police unit. Sitting in the interrogation room, Qin Haodong was depressed. He looked at the policewoman opposite him and said, Comrade police, this is really a misunderstanding. If you want to arrest someone, you should arrest that old man. He's blackmailing. I'm a good person. The policewoman looked at him coldly and said, Did I allow you to speak? Qin Haodong had no choice but to stay silent. Tell me, where did you get this car? The policewoman asked again. This car is really mine. Yours? The policewoman sneered. Then tell me, where did you buy this car? How much is it? Where's the invoice? Oh. Qin Haodong was speechless for a moment. He paused and said, I'm a doctor. This car is paid for by the patient. Although I didn't buy it, it is indeed my legal property. Just now the old man blackmailed me. I just made a joke to scare him. There's no such thing as robbing the car. Medical fee? Do you think I'm a fool? Do you know how much this car is worth? It's 40 million yuan. Would anyone use a 40 million yuan car to pay for your medical fee? Why didn't he give you an aircraft carrier? Obviously, the policewoman didn't believe a word Qin Haodong said. That's easy. I can give you the other party's phone number. You can verify it. Qin Haodong said and told her Nailan Wushuang's phone number. Are you sure this man gave you the car? The policewoman stared at Qin Haodong and asked. You can ask him and you'll know. Qin Haodong was full of confidence. He felt that as long as he called, Nailan Wushuang would definitely testify for him. The policewoman looked at him strangely, then took out her mobile phone and dialed. But the phone rang for a long time and no one answered. The policewoman dialed again but no one answered. At this time, Nailan Wushuang was in the bathroom cleaning the dirt from the marrow cleansing pill. She didn't hear the phone outside. The policewoman put down her mobile phone, grabbed Qin Haodong's collar and shouted, Tell me, what did you do to my cousin? Your cousin Nailan Wushuang? Chapter 23. Nailan Wuxia was on duty today. She just received a photo from her cousin, saying that Nailan Wufeng was going to give her a Lamborghini Centenario as a birthday gift. Before long she saw the car in the photo on the road. This kind of car was limited to 20 in the world, and it was impossible for there to be a second one in Jiangnan. Therefore she did not hesitate to arrest Qin Haodong and send him to the crime squad. In her opinion, Qin Haodong's car was either stolen or robbed. Anyway, it was impossible for him to get it through legal means. At this time, Nailan Wushuang did not answer her phone, which made her a little flustered. She thought that Qin Haodong really killed Nailan Wushuang and got the car from her. Seeing that the misunderstanding was getting bigger and bigger, Qin Haodong quickly explained, To tell you the truth, I just cured your grandfather's lung disease, and he gave me this car as a consultation fee. Your cousin may have gone to do something. Why don't you call Grandpa Nailan? Looks like you don't want to tell the truth. The more Nailan Wuxia spoke, the angrier she became. She would never believe that the young man in front of her had cured her grandpa's illness. Over the years, Nailan Jia had sought medical treatment everywhere without any result. How could he be cured by this young man in the blink of an eye? It's true. I'm a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. I just cured your grandfather. Qin Haodong tried hard to explain. Look at you. You haven't even grown a beard yet. How dare you claim to be a Chinese medicine doctor? Even if you're lying, you should prepare a draft first. Nailan Wuxia didn't want to waste any more time with Qin Haodong since it was related to Nailan Wushuang's safety. She turned her head and waved to the policeman behind her. You go out first and turn off the electronic surveillance. Yes, Captain Nailan. The young policeman agreed and looked at Qin Haodong with pity in his eyes before he went out. Nailan Wuxia was the deputy captain of the criminal police unit. She was famous for her fighting ability in the entire criminal police unit. Everyone called her the beautiful Tyrannosaurus Rex behind her back. Because of this, the young policeman felt that Qin Haodong was doomed. He had committed the crime in the female Tyrannosaurus's house. It was easy to imagine how miserable his end would be. The young officer closed the door to the interrogation room. Soon, the red light of the surveillance camera in the corner went off. It had obviously been turned off. Qin Haodong sighed. What happened today was really troublesome. He just wanted to scare the wretched old man, but he didn't expect to cause such big trouble. It was all because of his lies. Nailan Wuxia stared at Qin Haodong coldly. She grabbed a black baton on the wall and snapped, Tell me, what did you do to my cousin? Officer, I've told you several times. I didn't do anything to her at all. Nailan Wushuang is fine. Looks like you won't tell the truth if I don't make you suffer. Nailan Wuxia raised the baton in her hand and smashed it down on Qin Haodong's shoulder. But when the baton fell halfway, it was caught by a big hand and could no longer move forward. She looked at Qin Haodong in surprise and saw that the handcuff had fallen to the ground. Qin Haodong's hands were intact, and his right hand was holding her baton. Nailan Wuxia was also an experienced policeman. After a short moment of astonishment, she immediately came to her senses and realized that the young man in front of her was not simple. She quickly stepped back, let go of the baton in her hand and reached for the pistol at her waist. But as soon as she grabbed the pistol in her hand, she found that she couldn't move all over her body. There was a shiny silver needle in her chest. What are you going to do? Nalan Wuxia was really a little panicked and looked at the young man in front of her nervously. Qin Haodong restrained Nalan Wuxia with the silver needle and then circled around her. He thought that this girl's figure was really good. If she changed into a bikini, she would definitely blind the eyes of countless men. Let me go. What do you want to do? The more Qin Haodong didn't speak, the more nervous Nalan Wuxia became. Sister, it's not what I want to do, it's what you want to do. Qin Haodong said with annoyance. I was driving but I met a blackmailer. You didn't interrogate the blackmailer but you took me to the crime squad. You even used violence when you didn't agree with me and you asked me why. Are you the kind of person who has big breasts and no brains? Nonsense, your problem now is more serious than the blackmailer. Let me go and strive for leniency. Leniency my ass. Qin Haodong was so angry that he raised his hand and slapped Nalan Wuxia's plump buttocks. This car was given to me by your grandfather. I didn't steal it or rob it. Why do you bother me? You, Nalan Wuxia was so angry that her eyes were on fire. She was a famous female Tyrannosaurus in the crime squad. In the past she was the one who abused others. She didn't expect that she would be spanked today. For a moment she was ashamed and angry but she couldn't move. You let me go. Can you explain it clearly if I let you go? Qin Haodong said as he took out the needle bag from his pocket and put it on the desk next to him. After opening the needle bag, hundreds of silver needles were revealed. Seeing these silver needles, Nalan Wuxia became more nervous. She regretted staying here alone and even more regretted that she asked the little policeman to turn off the monitor in the room. Otherwise she would not be so passive. She wanted to shout but she held back in the end. Because this interrogation room was specially made with excellent soundproofing, no one outside could hear her even if she shouted herself hoarse. What the hell are you going to do? Looking at the shining silver needles in Qin Haodong's hand, Nalan Wuxia had goosebumps all over her body. Officer, can't you change the question? You always ask the same question. You'll know what I'm going to do soon. Qin Haodong raised his hand and several silver needles quickly pierced into the major acupoints on Nalan Wuxia's chest. Nalan Wuxia was nervous for a while. In her opinion, Qin Haodong must want to torture her, but then she found that the silver needles did not cause her any pain. On the contrary, her chest felt very comfortable. Next, Qin Haodong pierced more than a dozen silver needles into Nalan Wuxia's left chest. Then he flicked his fingers on the end of the silver needles. The silver needles immediately began to tremble as if they were charged. She faintly felt a flow of air in her body, and the comfort on her left chest was getting stronger and stronger. Nalan Wuxia looked at Qin Haodong in surprise and asked, "What did you do to me?" Qin Haodong said, "I told you that I cured Mr. Nalan, but you didn't believe me. I can only prove my medical skills to you. There is an old strain on your left chest. It should have been injured 2 years ago. You didn't get good treatment and recuperation after that, so the injured muscle tissue has never recovered. You will feel excruciating pain if you use too much force. Now I've cured it for you. You should believe in my medical skills." Nalan Wuxia opened her mouth in surprise. She didn't expect that Qin Haodong could know that there was an old strain on her left chest with a few glances, and he could accurately tell the time of the strain. It was really incredible. "Are you really a doctor?" she asked in disbelief. "Isn't that obvious?" Qin Haodong raised his hand and took back the silver needles that were pierced into Nalan Wuxia's chest, but he didn't pull out the silver needles that were blocking the acupoints. Who knew what the female Tyrannosaurus would do after she let go? "I've cured the injury on your chest. Can you believe me now? I can't move. How do I know if it's healed?" Nalan Wuxia stared at Qin Haodong fiercely and said, "Let me go." Well, Qin Haodong hesitated. Although he had proved his medical skills, who knew what the woman would do after she let go? What if she turned hostile? But he had to let her go. He couldn't wait like this. There would be other policemen coming in later. Just when he was in a dilemma, Nalan Wuxia's phone on the table suddenly rang. He glanced at it and found it was Nalan Wuxuang calling. "Hey, what were you doing just now? Why didn't you answer the phone?" Qin Haodong asked with annoyance. If Nalan Wuxuang had answered the phone and explained things clearly, he wouldn't have to go through so much trouble. "I just took a shower and didn't hear it. Why are you with my sister?" Nalan Wuxuang immediately recognized Qin Haodong's voice, but she was very surprised. She clearly dialed Nalan Wuxia's number. Why was it Qin Haodong who answered the phone? "How dare you ask? Do you think I want to come? Qin Haodong simply told her how he encountered the blackmailer, how he was misunderstood by Nalan Wuxia, and how he was arrested by the crime squad. Explain it to me quickly or I'll be in big trouble. Your sister will send me to prison. After listening to Qin Haodong, Nalan Wushuang immediately giggled. Who told you to brag and say that you robbed the car? Don't laugh. Explain it to me quickly. Qin Haodong said and sent the phone to Nalan Wuxia's ear. Soon Nalan Wushuang finished explaining the matter. After hanging up the phone, Qin Haodong said to Nalan Wuxia, do you believe me now? I'll let you go but you can't play with guns casually anymore. After that, he reached out to pull out the silver needle in Nalan Wuxia's chest. At this moment, the door was banged and the little policeman just rushed in from outside. Captain, it's urgent. Captain Wang wants to see you. The little policeman was a little clumsy. After entering the door, he just saw Qin Haodong withdraw his right hand from Nalan Wuxia's chest. Nalan Wuxia happened to have her back to him, so he couldn't see clearly what happened in front of her. From his point of view, Qin Haodong was standing with Nalan Wuxia in a very ambiguous posture, and his hand was just on Nalan Wuxia's chest. He withdrew it because he opened the door. Oh. The little policeman was stunned and swallowed the rest of the words. What the hell was going on? Did the deputy captain ask him to go out and turn off the surveillance just to do this kind of thing with this toy boy? Although the toy boy was very handsome, wasn't he too impatient? After the silver needle was pulled out, Nalan Wuxia immediately regained her ability to move. She glared at Qin Haodong with hatred, put the pistol back into the holster on her waist, and turned to the little policeman and said, What's the matter? Here's the thing. The little policeman came to his senses and said, Captain Wang has been keeping an eye on a major drug trafficking case these days. He got a message that the drug trafficking gang will make a deal in 2 hours. Just now, Captain Wang brought back a henchman of the drug trafficking gang, but this guy didn't say where the deal was. He was very tight-lipped. Captain Wang wants to call you to discuss how to ask for the location of the deal. Nalan Wuxia was the deputy captain of the criminal police unit. The Captain Wang that the little policeman mentioned was Captain Wang Jianfeng. Okay, let's go. Nalan Wuxia said and was about to leave with the little policeman. Chapter 24. Nalan Wuxia turned back and said, Why should I give it to you? Haven't we already made it clear that your grandfather gave me that car? Qin Haodong didn't expect that Nalan Wuxia was still not going to return the car to him. He had wanted to take the little fellow for a ride in the evening. Even if my grandfather gave it to you, so what? This car hasn't been registered yet. It's on the road without a license plate. I'll detain it now. Although the matter of the car had been made clear, Nalan Wuxia had been spanked by Qin Haodong when her acupoints were sealed. Now she had not vented her anger. How could she give the car back to him? You give the car back to me first. I'll get the license plate tomorrow. Qin Haodong said. Get out of the way. Don't you see I have a big case to deal with? Nalan Wuxia said with a cold face. Qin Haodong's slap just now was really not light. Her butt was still burning. Isn't it just interrogating a criminal? Well, I'll help you with the interrogation. How about you give the car back to me? Qin Haodong really wanted to take the car back so that he could pick up the little fellow in the evening. Don't joke around, okay? Do you know how to interrogate as a doctor? Nalan Wuxia said, Let me tell you, the police now enforce the law in a standard way. It's impossible to extort confessions by torture. Qin Haodong despised Nalan Wuxia. He didn't know who was going to beat him with a baton just now. In the blink of an eye, he wanted to enforce the law in a standard way. Qin Haodong said, I don't know how to interrogate, but I'm a medical student. I know a little psychology and hypnosis. I'm sure I can get what you want. Although the little policeman didn't understand the relationship between Nalan Wuxia and Qin Haodong, he couldn't help saying, What do you think interrogation is? It's not as simple as you think. It's not something that can be asked with a little psychology and hypnosis. Many of these drug dealers have been specially trained. Ordinary methods don't work at all. Qin Haodong turned his head and looked directly into the little policeman's eyes. A light flashed in his eyes, and the little policeman's eyes immediately became dull. Of course, what he used was not hypnosis but mind bewitching. Although his cultivation was much weaker than before, and the power of mind bewitching was less than 1/10,000th of his peak, it was more than enough to deal with ordinary people. However, it was not convenient to talk about this kind of cultivation technique, so he could only say it was hypnosis to others. After controlling the young policeman's mind in an instant, he asked, How is Captain Nalan? Hey, what are you doing? Nalan Wuxia did not understand what Qin Haodong wanted to do. Why did he suddenly ask such a question to his subordinates? At this time the young policeman said, although Captain Nayland is very beautiful, her temper is too bad. Usually we call her a female Tyrannosaurus. No one dares to provoke her. Qin Haodong smiled at Nayland Wuxia and said, how is it? My hypnosis skills are pretty good, right? You hypnotized him? Nayland Wuxia was stunned. Although she knew that some people called her a female Tyrannosaurus in private, no one dared to mention it in front of her. You don't believe me? Then I'll ask you again. Qin Haodong said to the little policeman, have you ever thought about pursuing Captain Nayland? Qin Haodong, what are you talking about? Nayland Wuxia's cheeks were slightly red. Qin Haodong actually asked his subordinate such a question. She could not help but stare at him fiercely. The little policeman did not care about Nayland Wuxia's attitude at all. He said, I never thought about it. Although Captain Nayland is beautiful, she is too violent. I'm afraid that she will kill me after we get married. After listening to the little policeman's answer, Qin Haodong could not help but laugh. Did you hear that? If you keep doing this, you really won't be able to get married in the future. You bastard. Nayland Wuxia felt that her lungs were about to explode with anger. Qin Haodong did not take it seriously. He said with a smile, how about it? Do you believe me now? As long as you take me there, I will definitely ask you what color underwear the drug dealers wear. Nayland Wuxia's expression changed. Although the person in front of her was really hateful, he did have real skills. Even the most senior interrogation expert in the police department could not do what he just did. It was best to take him to the interrogation. Well, if you can help us get the place of the transaction, I will return the car to you. Now Nayland Wuxia finally agreed. Qin Haodong snapped his fingers and the little policeman's eyes returned to normal. However, he did not remember what had just happened. Seeing Nayland Wuxia staring at him with an unkind expression, he was puzzled for a while. Did he just ruin Captain Nayland's plan and make her angry? It must be so. It seemed that he had to be careful in the future. Nayland Wuxia took Qin Haodong to the captain's office. A middle-aged policeman with an anxious look was pacing on the ground. He was the captain of the criminal police unit, Wang Jianfeng. After Nayland Wuxia entered the room, Wang Jianfeng immediately said, Captain Nayland, I remember you said that there is a classmate who is an expert in interrogation. Can you quickly ask him to help? Today's case is very important. There will be a huge drug deal in 2 hours. We must seize all time to get the place of the transaction and then take action quickly. Nayland Wuxia said, Captain Wang, there is no need to find an interrogation expert. You can ask Dr. Qin to try. Then she introduced Qin Haodong to Wang Jianfeng. Captain Wang, this is Dr. Qin Haodong. His medical skills are very good. Wang Jianfeng looked at Nayland Wuxia in surprise and said, Captain Nayland, you are not kidding, are you? We are going to conduct an interrogation, not to treat the prisoner. Why do you want a doctor? He was really anxious. The time of the drug deal was getting closer and closer. It would be too late to wait a little longer. Nayland Wuxia said, Captain Wang, Dr. Qin is very good at hypnosis. You can let him try. Captain Nayland, what time is it now? There is no time to try. We must ask the training expert to come immediately. Wang Jianfeng obviously did not take Qin Haodong seriously. Although he had heard of successful cases of hypnosis to help with interrogation, he did not think that the young man in front of him, who was about 20 years old, had this ability. Qin Haodong stopped Nayland Wuxia, who was about to say something. He stepped to the desk, picked up a piece of paper and a pen, and turned to Wang Jianfeng and said, Tell me the password of your mobile phone and bank. Wang Jianfeng said, The password of the mobile phone is 4 6s, and the password of the bank card is 6668888. Qin Haodong wrote these numbers on the A4 paper, waved his hand to remove the mind-bewitching, and then gave the A4 paper in his hand to Wang Jianfeng. Wang Jianfeng only felt dizzy for a moment. He did not know what he had just done, nor did he understand what the young man meant by giving him a piece of paper. He took a look and was suddenly shocked. He stared at it and asked, How did you know the password of my mobile phone and bank card? Of course, Captain Wang told me himself. Otherwise, I am not a god. How could I know? Qin Haodong smiled slightly. Now Captain Wang should believe my hypnosis, right? This is amazing, isn't it? Wang Jianfeng was really shocked by Qin Haodong's means. He never thought that someone could confuse his mind in a flash and even tell him the password of the bank card. But at this time he had no time to think too much. He quickly took Qin Haodong's hand and said, Dr. Qin, I'm sorry. It was my fault just now. Please help me. This case is really important. According to the information we have, the amount of drugs traded tonight can reach hundreds of kilograms. If so many drugs really spread out, it will cause great harm to our country. Don't worry, Captain Wang. Take me to him now and I promise to get his password for you. Thank you, Dr. Qin. Thank you, Dr. Qin. Wang Jianfeng's attitude changed 180 degrees. He was like a different person from the previous indifference. After that, he and Nalan Wuxia took Qin Haodong to the interrogation room next door. A young man in his 20s was sitting on the iron stool in the interrogation room. The man had a nose ring and earrings on his ears. He looked like a gangster. Although he was handcuffed, he was facing the sky with an unruly and sarcastic face. After entering the room, Wang Jianfeng said to the yellow-haired man, "We'll give you one last chance to confess. Are you going to tell us or not?" The yellow-haired man glanced at Wang Jianfeng and then at Nalan Wuxia, who was standing next to him. A trace of obscenity flashed in his eyes. Filthy Light said with a smile, "You brought such a beautiful policewoman to ask me. Are you trying to seduce me? If you let her sleep with me all night, I can consider telling you. You're courting death," Nalan Wuxia said. She raised her hand and was about to slap the yellow-haired man. Wang Jianfeng quickly stopped her. The yellow-haired man said arrogantly, "What? Don't you dare to hit me? I know you have no evidence now. You want to let me out in 24 hours. If you really hit me, I'll sue you." Before he finished speaking, a big slap suddenly hit his face. The yellow-haired man was dizzy and spat out a mouthful of blood mixed with his teeth. The yellow-haired man turned his head and saw a very handsome young man looking at him with a smile. The man was not wearing a uniform and did not look like a policeman. Wang Jianfeng did not expect Qin Haodong to be so hot-tempered. He quickly said, "Dr. Qin, don't be impulsive." When the yellow-haired man heard that Qin Haodong was a doctor, he immediately scolded, "Damn it, a little doctor dares to touch me. When I get out, I'll kill you." Before he finished scolding, Qin Haodong slapped him on the other side of the face. "Boy, although I'm not a policeman, I can send you to prison. Do you believe it or not?" The yellow-haired man glared at Qin Haodong. When he was about to say something, a trace of confusion flashed in his eyes and he swallowed his words. "Tell me, where is your trading place tonight? How many people are there?" Qin Haodong asked the question that Wang Jianfeng had told him in advance. Nalan Wuxia and Wang Jianfeng looked at the yellow-haired man nervously. They did not know whether Qin Haodong's hypnosis tube worked. In an abandoned chemical plant in the western suburbs of Jiangnan City. We have a total of 12 people. The other party. Chapter 25. Wang Jianfeng was overjoyed. He didn't expect that the problem he had been asking all afternoon would be solved by the young man in front of him in a few words. He then said to Qin Haodong, "Dr. Qin, it's almost an hour before the transaction. If we go to the chemical factory by ourselves, it will take longer. It may be too late. Can you let this man lead the way for us?" "No problem." Qin Haodong readily agreed. Although mind bewitching would cause certain damage to the brain of the person being used for a long time, it was completely negligible for people like drug dealers. With a direction of action, the whole criminal police unit quickly operated. 20 fully armed criminal police got on 2 minibuses. Qin Haodong sat in the front with the yellow-haired boy and quickly rushed to the western suburbs of Jiangnan City. Under the leadership of the yellow-haired boy, Qin Haodong and others soon left the downtown of Jiangnan City and came to a very remote chemical factory. There were no other buildings or residents nearby. It looked extremely desolate. Even at noon there were few pedestrians and vehicles passing by. It was indeed a perfect place for drug dealing. In order not to attract the attention of the other party, Wang Jianfeng directed the 2 minibuses to stop near a small forest. Then he said to Qin Haodong, "Dr. Qin, thank you for your help. The next action is too dangerous. You stay in the car. It can ensure your safety here." After that, he arranged for 2 young policemen to guard the yellow-haired boy. Including Qin Haodong, there were 4 people left. Nalan Wuxia threw the key of the Lamborghini to Qin Haodong. "Thank you. You can drive away when you get back. Come to me tomorrow and I'll help you get a license plate." Qin Haodong glanced at Nalan Wuxia and found a red light flashing in her glabella. If it was an ordinary person, he wouldn't have noticed Nalan Wuxia's abnormality at all. But Qin Haodong had the powerful spirit of Emperor Greenwood and was very proficient in divination. He immediately realized that the red light was the manifestation of great danger. In Chinese, it was a bloody disaster. "What's going on? This girl was fine when I was in the criminal police unit. How did she get a bloody disaster so soon? Is it because of the cases in front of me?" Qin Haodong calculated in his heart and secretly pinched his fingers to calculate for Nalan Wuxia. Then he frowned. Was right. This violent girl was indeed going to have a bloody disaster soon. She might even lose her life. Wait. Qin Haodong stopped Nalan Wuxia, who was about to turn around and get off the car. He said, "Is there something wrong with this case? Don't drug deals usually take place at night? Why did you choose noon today?" Before Nalan Wuxia could speak, Wang Jianfeng said, "Dr. Qin, you don't know this. Drug dealers have always been very cunning. The time of drug dealing is not fixed. It's not strange that they choose noon." The leader of this drug trade was nicknamed Sad Dog. He was a famous drug lord. In a big roundup last year, his brother Lao Wu resisted arrest with a gun and was shot dead by Captain Nalan on the spot, but he escaped. This guy has always been vicious and cunning. He has escaped the police's arrest many times. This time, it's very likely that he wants to do the opposite of us. Qin Haodong thought for a moment and said, "Captain Wang, can you take me with you? I want to see how you catch drug dealers." Nalan Wuxia said, "Do you think this is a TV series? You can just follow them and watch the fun. Those drug dealers are very cruel and have guns in their hands. You'd better stay in the car." Although she had just seen Qin Haodong's magical means in the interrogation room, she didn't think that he could deal with the drug dealers with guns in their hands. No matter how powerful the other person was, he could not be more powerful than a bullet. Wang Jianfeng also said, "Yes, Dr. Qin. It's safer in the car. Wait for us here." After that, he and Nalan Wuxia got out of the car with others and quietly went to the direction of the chemical plant. Looking at their backs, Qin Haodong slowly frowned. Nalan Jia had risked his life for Huaxia all his life. He was also a hero of the country. Nalan Wuxia had made a lot of trouble for him today, but she was also a good policeman. He couldn't just watch her lose her life. Since she met him, it meant that this girl should not die. He should help her. Thinking of this, he told the two policemen in the car to get off and pee. He also went to the direction of the chemical plant. But he didn't meet with Nalan Wuxia and others. Instead, he hid in the dark. Nalan Wuxia and Wang Jianfeng carefully entered the chemical plant with their subordinates. Soon they found all kinds of cars parked in the plant. They believed that this was the scene of a drug deal. The blonde didn't lie. They slowly sneaked into the plant. It had been abandoned for a long time. Everywhere was shabby. In the middle of the plant there was an atrium hall which was very spacious. There was a circle of corridors on the second floor. At this time in the atrium, two groups of people were looking at each other. On one side there was a one-eyed man with an eye mask. Behind him stood more than 10 people. Several henchmen carried 4 or 5 big suitcases in their hands. The suitcases were bulging. It seemed that there were a lot of things in them. On the other side there were 5 big men in black suits. The leader was a big bald man. There were several bulging woven bags beside him. Nalan Wuxia and Wang Jianfeng looked at each other. It seemed that this was the scene of a drug deal, but they didn't see Sad Dog here. Nalan Wuxia whispered in Wang Jianfeng's ear, "Captain Wang, there are exactly 12 people on the one-eyed man's side. It's just like what the blonde said. But we don't know where Sad Dog is hiding." Wang Jianfeng frowned and said, "Let them hide first. Let's wait and see." After that, he made a few gestures to the people around him to hide. Those policemen all hid and didn't rush to take action. On the other side of the hall, the one-eyed man said to the bald man, "Lao San, you're right on time." The bald man touched his head and smiled, "Of course. I always do what I say. Where's Brother Dog? Why didn't he come?" "Brother Dog had something to deal with. He asked me to bring you the goods." The one-eyed man waved his hand to a henchman behind him. The henchman opened a suitcase and took out a bag of white powder. He gave it to the bald man. The bald man took it. He picked up a little white powder with his fingernail. He put it into his nostrils and sniffed it. He showed an extremely satisfied expression. After a sneeze he said, "Good stuff?" The one-eyed man said, "Of course. Brother Dog's goods are always good stuff. Did you bring the money?" "I Lao San always give the goods at the same time. I never go back on my word." The bald man waved his hand. A henchman behind him opened a woven bag. It was full of pink Huaxia currency. Nalan Wuxia said to Wang Jianfeng, "Captain Wang, they're about to do the deal. Shall we take action?" Wang Jianfeng gritted his teeth, "Whatever. There are so many goods. Let's take them down first. Sad Dog can't run away even if we catch them." After that, he made a gesture to the policemen around him. After receiving the order, these people immediately rushed out and surrounded the drug dealers who were trading. "Don't move. Policemen, don't move. Put your hands up. In a burst of angry shouts, Wang Jianfeng and his men quickly controlled the situation. They put the one-eyed man and the bald man in handcuffs. After taking control of the situation, Nalan Wuxia opened a woven bag and picked up a stack of banknotes. Her face suddenly changed. Only the first and the last two banknotes were real banknotes. The middle ones were all banknotes, not real money at all. She poured out the whole woven bag. All the notes were the same. They were all stacks of notes. On the other side, a policeman with small glasses was checking the drugs. Soon he shouted to Wang Jianfeng, "Captain Wang, this is flour. It's not drugs at all." What happened? Wang Jianfeng and Nalan Wuxia looked at each other. They both felt that something was wrong. Nalan Wuxia stepped forward and kicked the bald man's belly. She asked harshly, "Tell me what happened?" Her kick was so powerful that the bald man immediately covered his belly and squatted on the ground. He shouted discontentedly, "Damn it! Why did you kick me like that? It's just a play. Why did you kick me so hard? Besides, the script is not like this. Why didn't you actors follow the script? It's so unprofessional." "Play? Who's acting with you?" Nalan Wuxia looked at the bald man in surprise and said, all right, don't pretend. It's 200 yuan a day. There's no need to risk your life. Open it for me. I don't want to play anymore." After the bald man said that, the one-eyed man and his men also shouted, "Yes, I don't want to play anymore. Open it for me." After saying that, these people struggled to stand up, but they were held down by the policeman next to them. "What are you doing? You can't do this. I don't want to play anymore." The one-eyed man shouted angrily at Nalan Wuxia and others. "Be honest. We are really policemen. Please cooperate." Wang Jianfeng shouted sharply. "Are you King sick? It's 200 yuan a day. Don't pretend to be a drama queen. Let go of me or I'll beat you up." The one-eyed man shouted discontentedly. Wang Jianfeng and Nalan Wuxia had realized that something was wrong. Seeing that the scene was out of control, Wang Jianfeng took out the pistol at his waist, raised his hand and fired a shot, breaking the glass of a window with a bang. Looking at the ejected shell and the smoking muzzle, the one-eyed man, the bald man and others were dumbfounded. It was obviously not a prop for acting but a real pistol. You are really policemen?" The one-eyed man asked with a puzzled look. Wang Jianfeng put away the pistol and took out a police card from his pocket. He handed it to the one-eyed man and said, "Look, I'm a criminal policeman from the Criminal Police Brigade of Jiangnan City. Someone reported that you are carrying out a drug trade. Now we are investigating you." The one-eyed man saw the police card clearly. After seeing the police card, he panicked and said quickly, "Comrade police, this is a misunderstanding. We are all extras. The director told us that we are playing a drug trade scene here. Misunderstanding, it's really a misunderstanding. We are actors for 200 yuan a day, not drug dealers. That thing can kill us." The bald man and the others who had been captured also began to cry out. Now Wang Jianfeng completely realized that something was wrong. He shouted sharply, "Don't quarrel. Tell me one by one." Chapter 26. One-eyed dragon panicked and said, "We are all extras working in the film site. Originally we were paid 100 yuan a day. But yesterday, a generous boss came and offered us 200 yuan a day to act in a scene of drug dealing. He provided us with these props." Nalan Wuxia shouted, "Nonsense. There is not even a camera here. How can it be a film site?" "I asked that too. That man said they used the most advanced secret equipment and couldn't see people. We didn't think too much at that time, so we believed him. After all, we could only earn 100 yuan a day as extras, and we could earn 200 yuan in 2 hours. I didn't expect such a thing to happen." "Who sent you here?" Wang Jianfeng asked. "It's me." A voice sounded above their heads. Wang Jianfeng and Nalan Wuxia looked up and saw more than a dozen men in black standing in the corridor on the second floor. The black muzzles in their hands were all pointed at them. The leader was Sad Dog, the big drug dealer. "Oh no, we were fooled." Wang Jianfeng immediately realized what was going on. He reached for the pistol on his waist and heard a series of gunshots. The ground in front of his feet was splashed with gravel. It was Sad Dog who fired the gun. He blew the smoke from the muzzle and shouted arrogantly, "Behave yourselves. Whoever moves, I'll send him to hell." Nalan Wuxia and Wang Jianfeng's faces turned livid. Although they all had guns, they had no chance to use them in this situation. Wang Jianfeng was shocked. It was Sad Dog who set a trap for them today. He used these extras to set a big trap. He shouted harshly, "Sad Dog, what are you going to do? Don't forget this is Wuxia. You can't do whatever you want. I know this is Wuxia. If I kill all of you, I won't have a good life. I can let the others go, but not that woman. Sad Dog's expression changed. He looked ferocious and his eyes were full of murderous light. She killed my brother Lao Wu. Today, I must bring her to Lao Wu's grave and sacrifice her head to my brother. As soon as he said that, everyone's face changed. It turned out that Sad Dog's target was Nalan Wuxia. This is impossible. Wang Jianfeng shouted, and the other policemen quickly formed a circle to protect Nalan Wuxia in the middle. Don't think that I don't dare to do anything to you. At most, I'll go abroad and never come back to China. Sad Dog said with blood-red eyes, I will count to 3. Get out of my way or I will beat you into a sieve. After that, he raised the pistol in his hand and began to count, 3, 2, stop. If you have something to say, come at me. Nalan Wuxia bypassed Wang Jianfeng and stepped out of the crowd. Although she was a woman, she had courage that did not lose to men. She could not let these colleagues die because of her. If she was alone, she could still fight to the death. Nalan Wuxia came to herself, and first she kicked Sad Dog hard, and then she took out her handcuffs to handcuff him tightly. Sad Dog raised his head, looked at Qin Haodong and shouted fiercely, Boy, who are you? How dare you ruin my plan? I won't forgive you. Before he finished shouting, he saw the sole of a shoe appeared in front of him again, and kicked hard on his face. Wang Jianfeng led his subordinates to the corridor on the second floor, and they were surprised to find that there was a shiny silver needle in the back of each drug dealer's head. Qin Haodong led the way, and every time he pulled out a silver needle, the police behind him would cuff the drug dealer. Soon more than a dozen drug dealers' guns were taken away, and they were escorted to the courtyard. Things had been cleared up, and Wang Jianfeng ordered his subordinates to release those tricked extras, and then Sad Dog and his subordinates were escorted to the minibus outside. After returning to the criminal police unit, Wang Jianfeng started to interrogate those drug dealers. Nalan Wuxia took Qin Haodong to the Lamborghini. Thank you for saving me. It was the first time for Nalan Wuxia to face death so closely, and she could not help palpitating when she recalled that feeling. She knew that if it had not been for this smiling young man in front of her, she would have reported to the king of hell. How? Do you want to marry me? Qin Haodong said with a smile. You. Nalan Wuxia was apologizing sincerely, but Qin Haodong ruined the atmosphere. Forget it, I'm just kidding. Who would dare to marry a female Tyrannosaurus like you? Don't take it seriously. Qin Haodong said as he got in the car. Before Nalan Wuxia lost her temper, he quickly started the car and left the criminal police unit with a roar of the motor. Bastard. Looking at the direction where the Lamborghini disappeared, Nalan Wuxia stamped her feet hard. For so many years, it was the first time for her to meet a man that she could not understand. As soon as Qin Haodong got out of the criminal police unit, the phone in his pocket rang. He took a look and found it was Lin Momo. Where are you? Lin Momo's voice came from the other side of the phone. I'm out for a ride. Are you with that girl? After saying this, Lin Momo herself was surprised for a while. Why did she ask such a question? No, I'm out for a ride alone. What's the matter? Qin Haodong asked. Oh well, I have a meeting right now and it may be a little late to pick up Tang Tang. Could you pick her up for me first? Don't be so polite. Tang Tang is our daughter, and it's my duty to pick her up. Qin Haodong said with a smile. Lin Momo was speechless for a moment. What did he mean by our daughter? It sounded like she was your daughter. But Tang Tang did recognize Qin Haodong as her godfather, and he was right. She had no reason to refute him. After hanging up the phone, Qin Haodong found it was almost time to drive to Gold Branch Jade Leaf Kindergarten. Qin Haodong parked the car in the parking lot at the school gate, then walked into the kindergarten and found Tang Tang's class. Sir, who are you looking for? In the classroom, a young female teacher in her 20s asked. The female teacher was very beautiful. She was tall and had shoulder-length hair. Her business suit set off her plump figure incisively and vividly. Qin Haodong was slightly surprised that such a beautiful woman was a kindergarten teacher here. He said, Hello teacher. I'm Tang Tang's father. I'm here to pick her up from school. Tang Tang's father? The female teacher looked at Qin Haodong in surprise and said, Hello sir. I'm Tang Tang's teacher Wang Jiani. We've never met before and I need to verify your identity with Tang Tang's mother. After saying that, she took out a mobile phone from her pocket and was about to call Lin Momo. Miss Wang, don't call. You can't get through. Qin Haodong said, Tang Tang's mother has a meeting. It's not convenient for her to answer the phone now, so she asked me to pick her up. Qin Haodong took out his mobile phone, found the call record between him and Lin Momo, and sent it to Wang Jiani. Papa, you're here to pick me up. At this time the little fellow saw Qin Haodong. She ran out of the classroom happily and threw herself into his arms. Looking at Tang Tang and Qin Haodong's intimate appearance, and then looking at the call record on the mobile phone, Wang Jiani said, "Sorry, I've never seen Tang Tang's father before, so I asked a few more questions." "It doesn't matter. I'm responsible for Tang Tang. My name is Qin Haodong. We'll be familiar from now on." Qin Haodong had a good impression of this responsible and beautiful female teacher. After saying hello, he walked out of the kindergarten with Tang Tang. No matter how slow Zhao Hongmao was, he could tell Qin Haodong's smile was not right. He turned to Xiao Lily and said, "Honey, how do you want to teach him a lesson?" Xiao Lily looked at Qin Haodong's handsome face, and a flame of jealousy flashed through her eyes. Why couldn't such a handsome man belong to her? If she couldn't get him, she would destroy him. She cried, "Honey, I want you to teach him a lesson. Beat him until his mother can't recognize him." "Honey, I'll satisfy you," Zhao Hongmao said, and turned to the man with a flat-top haircut beside him. "Dabiao, did you hear what your sister-in-law said? Teach this brat a good lesson." "Don't worry, big brother. How dare he make sister-in-law angry? I'll teach him a lesson even if he's the king of heaven." Zhang Dabiao answered and then looked at Qin Haodong. "Kid, don't blame me for being cruel. Blame yourself for offending my sister-in-law." The little fellow looked at the fierce Zhang Dabiao and said, "Papa, are they going to fight? Our teacher said that good kids don't fight." Qin Haodong said with a smile, "No, they are here to play games with me. Don't you like to watch football? Let them be the ball and Papa will kick it, okay?" Okay. Tang Tang loves football the most. The little fellow clapped her hands excitedly. Seeing that Qin Haodong didn't even look at him, Zhang Dabiao was annoyed. "Kid, you're courting death." After that, he waved his fist, which was as big as a casserole, and hit Qin Haodong in the face. This guy used to be a special soldier in the army. He was expelled from the army because he made a mistake, but his skills were still very strong. This punch was powerful and heavy like a tiger. Zhao Hongmao said to Xiao Lily, "Honey, don't worry. I won't let anyone who dares to bully you and our daughter live a good life." Before he could finish, Qin Haodong lifted his right leg and kicked Zhang Dabiao's lower abdomen. Zhang Dabiao was hit hard and his body bent. Then he flew out like a ball and with a bang he fell into the trash can on the side of the road. Okay, Papa is kicking the ball." The little fellow was happy at once. The people around opened their mouths in surprise, especially Zhao Hongmao. He knew Zhang Dabiao's ability very well. Usually 4 or 5 people couldn't even get close to him, or else he wouldn't be the head of security. He didn't expect that Qin Haodong would kick him like a ball. Zhang Dabiao struggled to climb out of the trash can. He grabbed a piece of banana peel off his head and shouted to his men angrily, "Are you King stupid? Come on, beat this kid hard." After he gave the order, the dozen of people rushed to Qin Haodong together. Holding Tang Tang in his arms, Qin Haodong dodged left and right, and kicked them from time to time. The tall figures were suddenly thrown out, and rolled around in the open space in front of the kindergarten. So fun. Papa is so great. Tang Tang's only fear had disappeared, and she was excited to see Qin Haodong kicking these people like balls. These people also saw Qin Haodong's power. Some of them got up from the ground and hid far away, and some just crawled on the ground and pretended to be dead. Anyway, no one dared to come to him again. When Zhang Dabiao, the leader of these people, rushed up for the second time, he was kicked in the butt, and now he was still hanging on a branch. Qin Haodong killed these little ants in a joke and turned to Zhao Hongmao and Xiao Lily. "How about it? Do you still want to play?" Zhao Hongmao was completely shocked by Qin Haodong's skills, and he couldn't say a word for a while. Xiao Lily was still arrogant. She stepped forward, pointed at Qin Haodong's nose and shouted, "Toy boy, don't think you're so great just because you know some martial arts. My husband is the vice president of Lin's group. You can't afford to mess with him." Lin's group? Qin Haodong was slightly stunned. As far as he knew, there was only one Lin's group in Jiangnan City. Could this person be Lin Momo's man? At this time, Qin Haodong didn't say anything and Xiao Lily thought she scared him, so she shouted more arrogantly, "Now you're scared, right? Kneel down and apologize to me, and the little bastard in your arms, kneel down in front of me." Qin Haodong had been smiling all the time, but now his face suddenly turned cold. Every dragon had a reverse scale and touching it would mean death. The little fellow was his reverse scale. He didn't care much about Xiao Lili coming to make trouble, but now she was insulting the little fellow as a bastard in public, which was unacceptable to him. Kneel down. With an angry shout, Xiao Lili suddenly felt a huge chill shrouding her. She shivered all over and knelt on the ground uncontrollably. Your face is like a peach blossom, but your heart is like a snake and scorpion. A vicious and jealous woman like you should be punished. Qin Haodong reached out his right hand and gently brushed Xiao Lili's face. No one knew what he did, but then Xiao Lili's whole face changed. Her mouth was slanted, her eyes were crooked, and her nose collapsed. She couldn't be uglier. So ugly, so ugly. Tang Tang, don't look at it. The little fellow reached out her two chubby hands to cover her eyes, and didn't look at Xiao Lili again. What did you do to me? Xiao Lili screamed at Qin Haodong. She had seen something strange in the eyes of the people around. Qin Haodong said in a cold voice, "This appearance is just right for a woman with an ugly heart like you." He ruined Xiao Lili's face for the sake of the little fellow. If Tang Tang wasn't here, Xiao Lili would have been killed on the spot. What did you do to me? Xiao Lili was completely panicked. Trembling, she took out the makeup box from her bag and took a look at herself. Seeing the ugly face in the mirror, she suddenly let out a heart-wrenching scream. Chapter 28. Zhao Hongmao was completely dumbfounded. He wanted to call the security guards to help his wife, but he didn't expect to meet Lin Momo. He didn't know how to explain. Zhang Dabiao and the others lowered their heads even more. They wanted to bury their heads in their pants. They knew they were in big trouble and might lose their jobs. "Mommy, I know." They didn't speak, so the little fellow began to say, "Zhao Lele's mommy asked them to beat Papa, but Papa kicked them like a ball. Zhao Lele's mommy said I'm a bastard, so Papa used a magic trick to make me so ugly." She turned her head and glanced at Xiao Lili. Then she quickly covered her eyes with her little hands. Her cute expression made the onlookers laugh. Lin Momo was slightly surprised after hearing the little fellow's words. She didn't expect the ugly girl in front of her to be Xiao Lili. She immediately understood what was going on. This woman must have come to make trouble for Qin Haodong. But they didn't know how powerful Qin Haodong was, so they were beaten up badly. "I'm sorry, President Lin. My wife didn't know they were your husband and daughter." Zhao Hongmao could only bow his head and apologize. At the same time he felt very strange. Lin Momo was a famous iceberg beauty. He had never heard of her getting married. Why did she suddenly have a husband and daughter? In his opinion, the little fellow called Qin Haodong daddy and Lin Momo mommy, so they must be a family. Lin Momo couldn't explain it at the moment, and she didn't need to explain it to Zhao Hongmao. "Your wife called my daughter a bastard?" Her originally ice-cold face was now covered with a layer of frost. She had always hated it when others called the little fellow a wild child or a bastard. "I'm sorry, President Lin. I'm really sorry. We really didn't know she was your daughter." Although Zhao Hongmao had a backer, it was obvious that he was in the wrong today, so he had to bow his head and apologize again. "Vice President Zhao, the security department belongs to the company. It's not your private property. You can use it at will to fight for your wife." Lin Momo said coldly, "You used your power and caused a great loss and negative impact to the company. Now you're suspended." Then she turned to look at Zhang Dabiao and the others. "From today on, you are no longer employees of Lin's group. Go back and pack up and get lost." Lin Momo looked very serious and angry, but she was very happy. Zhao Hongmao's father, Zhao Zhongchen, was a director of Linji Group and a major shareholder of the company. For a long time, Zhao Hongmao had relied on Zhao Zhongchen's power to fight for power with Lin Momo and often made trouble for her. Today she finally had something on him to teach him a lesson. At the same time, Zhao Hongmao was in charge of the security department. Zhang Dabiao and the others were also his direct subordinates. Today they were all cleared out. In other words, Qin Haodong had inadvertently helped Lin Momo accomplish what she had wanted to do for a long time. Zhang Dabiao and those security guards knew that there was no turning back today. They could only accept their bad luck and ran away with their tails between their legs. Zhao Hongmao sighed and said, "President Lin, I admit what happened today, but please show mercy to your husband and let my wife go this time." Xiao Lili knew that she was in big trouble today, but she couldn't care about anything else. She begged Qin Haodong, "Please, I know I was wrong. Please let me go this time. Change my face back." Qin Haodong snorted and ignored her. She dared to call Emperor Greenwood's daughter a bastard. It was a great kindness that he didn't kill her. Seeing that Qin Haodong ignored her, Zhao Hongmao's face changed again. He said, "Boy, it's a big crime to ruin someone's face. I'll call the police and arrest you." Qin Haodong smiled and said, "You can call the police anytime. But I advise you to take your daughter to the hospital for a DNA test first." "What do you mean?" Qin Haodong said, "Don't you know what I mean? You're a poor girl. I'll give you some advice today. You'll understand everything when you get the DNA test." Zhao Hongmao immediately turned his head to look at Xiao Lili. He had been confused for a long time. Why didn't his daughter look like him? He became suspicious after hearing Qin Haodong's words. "Honey, you can't listen to him. Lele is your daughter. There's no need for a test. You bitch. Come back with me first." Zhao Hongmao turned his head and left. He was going to take his daughter to do a paternity test. Xiao Lili didn't have time to look for Qin Haodong anymore. She followed him in a hurry. She knew very well whose daughter it was. If the test was done, it would be over. After they left, the onlookers also left gradually. "Papa, you're so awesome. I love you." The little fellow gave Qin Haodong a wet kiss on his cheek. "Haodong, be careful. You ruined that woman's face. If she calls the police, it'll be very troublesome." Lin Momo showed a worried look. "It doesn't matter. Her face is congenital no matter which hospital she goes to for a test. It's useless to call the police." Qin Haodong didn't care. He said to Lin Momo with a smile, "I got a new car today. Shall I take you and Tang Tang for a ride?" "Great. Great. I want to see Papa's new car." The little fellow became spirited immediately. Lin Momo asked, "Where's your new car?" Qin Haodong pointed to the Lamborghini Centenario parked on the side and said, "Right there." At this time, 6 or 7 car enthusiasts were surrounding the Lamborghini and discussing its superior performance. "Papa, your car is so beautiful. I want to sit in it." The little fellow also liked Lamborghini very much. Lin Momo couldn't help frowning. She said to Qin Haodong with a cold face, "Is this a gift from that woman?" Sort of." Qin Haodong was about to continue explaining when he heard Lin Momo said, "Why are you like this? If you need money, you can tell me. Why did you do this? What's wrong with me?" Looking at Lin Momo's indignant face, Qin Haodong realized that the child's mother must have misunderstood that he was a gigolo. "You think I'm a kept woman? Isn't it? If not, who would give you such an expensive car? Don't think I don't know that this is a Lamborghini Centenario. The price is at least 40 million yuan. It seems that the little rich woman is willing to spend money on you." Lin Momo was inexplicably indignant. Even she didn't realize how emotional she was. "You misunderstood me. It's my patient who came here today. The car is paid by their family. I earned it with my ability." Qin Haodong said with a smile, "Even if someone wants to keep me, they can't afford it. My price is very high. If you want to keep me, I can give you a 20% discount." Lin Momo was relieved as if a stone had been put down. The Lin family could give Qin Haodong a villa. Naturally, other families could also give him a car. Her expression eased a lot. She rolled her eyes at Qin Haodong and said, "You're so smug. Who wants to keep you?" I want to keep Papa." The little fellow immediately shouted. Then she asked, "Papa, what do you mean by keeping?" Qin Haodong reached out and took Tang Tang. Inadvertently, his big hand touched her towering chest, which made Lin Momo's cheeks blush. Qin Haodong secretly took advantage of her. He was happy in his heart, but he said to the little fellow seriously, "Keeping means giving food, clothes, and money. Oh, so Mama is keeping me. Daddy and Mommy should keep me. It's not keeping." Qin Haodong knew that it was difficult to explain to the little fellow. He changed the topic and said, "Tang Tang, Papa will take you and Mommy for a ride, okay?" Lin Momo said, "Forget it. We've been delayed for so long today. It's time for dinner. Tang Tang should be hungry. Let's go home first." Then she didn't return to her Rolls Royce. She sat in the passenger seat of the Lamborghini with the little fellow in her arms. Qin Haodong drove the family of 3 back to the Lin's villa. After entering the house, the food was ready. Lin Ziyuan was sitting at the table waiting for them to come back. After dinner, he glanced at Qin Haodong from time to time, as if he wanted to say something. Qin Haodong had a good impression of his father-in-law. He said, "Mr. Lin, if you have something to say, just say it." "Well, it's hard to say," Lin Ziyuan said with embarrassment. "Mr. Lin, we're all family now. If you have something to say, just say it." After Qin Haodong said that, the little fellow also shouted, "Yes, Mr. Lin, we're all family. We're all family." "Then I'll say it." Lin Ziyuan was a little embarrassed, but he finally said, I have a very good friend. I heard that your medical skills are excellent and you cured Momo's illness. I want to ask you for a favor. It's very simple. I'm a doctor. It's natural for me to treat patients. Besides, he's Mr. Lin's friend. No problem. Qin Haodong readily agreed. At the same time, he was very surprised. Lin Ziyuan just wanted to ask him to treat a patient. Why did he beat around the bush? Well, Lin Ziyuan's face turned red and he said, I'm not treating people. I want to treat dogs. As soon as he finished speaking, before Qin Haodong could speak, Lin Momo said reproachfully, Dad, what are you talking about? Haodong is a doctor. He treats people, not a veterinarian. How can he treat dogs? After that, she also secretly glanced at Qin Haodong. If other doctors with such high medical skills were asked to treat dogs, they would definitely be angry. Qin Haodong didn't feel angry, but he was also amused. No wonder Lin Ziyuan hesitated. It turned out that he wanted to ask him to treat dogs. This father-in-law was really amazing. The little fellow cried, Dogs, dogs, I like dogs. Lin Ziyuan said, Dr. Qin, I'll be frank with you. If it's an ordinary dog, I won't ask you. Chapter 29. Lin Ziyuan said, My old friend is called Bai Zipping. He runs a large dogfighting ring and is the famous dog king in Jiangnan City. Some time ago he bought 2 purebred snow mastiffs from Tibet, which cost more than 30 million yuan. So expensive? Lin Momo's big eyes widened. Although she controlled Lin's group's assets of hundreds of millions, she never thought that 2 dogs could be sold at such a high price. These are purebred snow mastiffs, so the price is naturally expensive. Moreover, the mother mastiff was pregnant with puppies when she bought them, which cost a lot of money. Lin Ziyuan sighed and said, Bai Zipping's plan was very good, but he didn't expect that the 2 snow mastiffs would be very uncomfortable after coming to Jiangnan City and have been sick. Although 2 puppies were finally born 2 days ago, the puppies are also sick and don't know how to drink milk at all. Although he has invited a lot of well-known veterinarians, there is no way at all. If it goes on like this, I am afraid that the 4 dogs, 2 adults and 2 children will die. Yesterday, I drank with Bai Zipping and talked about your excellent medical skills. He wants to ask you to help treat these snow mastiffs. Speaking of this, she was a little embarrassed and added, Dr. Qin, don't think too much. If it's convenient, you can help. If it's not convenient, forget it. The little fellow hugged Qin Haodong's neck and cried, Dogs, let's go. I want to see dogs. Well, let's go and have a look. Qin Haodong agreed. When he was in the cultivation world, he had also treated strange beasts. He did not reject treating people or animals. Moreover, the little fellow was clamoring to go now. Lin Ziyuan said happily, That's great. Let's go and have a look now. I don't know how long his 4 dogs can hold on. Qin Haodong nodded and followed Lin Ziyuan with the little fellow in his arms. Lin Momo did not follow them to the dogfighting ring because she still had some things to deal with. After leaving the door, the 3 of them got in Lin Ziyuan's off-road vehicle and rushed out of the city of Jiangnan City. Half an hour later, the off-road vehicle went out of the city and came to a fork in the road 50 kilometers north of Jiangnan City, which was already very remote. After turning into a small road and walking for a short distance, they encountered 2 sentries in succession. One was checking the license plate and the other was checking the trunk. Lin Ziyuan was afraid that Qin Haodong would be unhappy, so he hurriedly explained, It took Bai Zipping 5 years to build this dogfighting ring, and he invested a huge sum of money of 9 figures. Naturally, he has to make some restrictions on the people who come here. If something really happens, it's not just a matter of money. Fortunately, the inspectors were familiar with Lin Ziyuan. After a brief look, they quickly let him go. After driving for about 10 minutes, they finally arrived at the dogfighting ring. From the outside, it looked like a holiday manor with lush vegetation. A few European-style villas surrounded a large domed building, and all kinds of luxury cars could be seen everywhere. After the 3 of them got out of the car and walked into the dogfighting ring, a man who looked like a butler came up to them. Mr. Lin, you're here. Lin Ziyuan was a frequent visitor here, and the housekeeper was very familiar with him. Where is Bai Zipping? Take me to him. The boss is in the kennel behind. The situation of several snow mastiffs is getting worse and worse. The 2 little ones may die. The boss has just hired a famous veterinarian from the provincial capital, and he is treating the snow mastiffs in the kennel. The housekeeper said as he led the way, and Qin Haodong and the other 2 followed. The domed building was the dogfighting ring. Behind the dogfighting ring was a large area for raising dogs. The kennel was very unique, and all kinds of precious dogs could be seen everywhere. The little fellow was very excited when she saw these dogs. She kept shouting, "Dogs? Dogs. So fun. Papa, I want a dog too." Qin Haodong said, "Okay, listen to me first. I'll get you the most beautiful and lovely dog later." Okay, I'm going to have a dog at last." The little fellow's face was full of excitement. The area of the dogfighting ring was large enough. They walked for a full 10 minutes before they came to a large kennel. If the other kennels in front were ordinary houses, this kennel was a luxury villa. Not only had an area of more than 100 square meters, but it was also a fully enclosed fiberglass building with excellent lighting. At the same time, the kennel was also equipped with air conditioning. Although it was summer in Jiangnan, the temperature in the kennel was very low, about 12 or 13 degrees. The temperature difference between the outside and the inside was very big. After coming in, Lin Ziyuan couldn't help but shiver. Qin Haodong had genuine qi to protect his body. The little fellow's physique was also greatly enhanced after eating the marrow-cleansing pill. At the same time, the Shantian Sutra was running automatically in her body, so there was not much discomfort. After entering the kennel, they saw the second gate, which was made of steel bars as thick as a thumb. A middle-aged man with an extraordinary aura was standing there with two people in white coats, talking to the kennel. Inside the fence door there were two big and two small white Tibetan mastiffs. The two adult snow mastiffs were huge, and their huge heads and claws were comparable to that of lions. The other two baby snow mastiffs were just born like two small white fluffy snowballs, but they had no vitality at all. If it weren't for the slight tremor when they breathed, people would really think they were dead. Although the situation of the two adult snow mastiffs was better, the female mastiff was lying on the ground with her eyes closed and couldn't lift her spirit at all. The male mastiff was better. He glanced at the door from time to time, his eyes full of vigilance. The middle-aged man was Bai Zipping, the owner of the dogfighting ring. At this time his face was gloomy. After seeing Lin Ziyuan, he just nodded slightly as a greeting and ignored Qin Haodong behind him. His dogfighting ring had been operating for many years, and it could be said that it was making money every day. His family was very rich and he didn't care about the 30 million he spent on the Tibetan mastiffs. However, these two purebred snow mastiffs were extremely rare and he was a dog lover. Naturally, he was very worried when he saw his dogs were sick. The other two people in white coats were Chu Wankai, a famous veterinarian in his 50s, who was invited by Zipping from the provincial capital. Standing behind him was the apprentice Lu Haibin. Chu Wankai was wearing a white coat outside, an expensive suit inside, and a watch worth hundreds of thousands of yuan on his wrist. He was holding a high-powered telescope in his hand to observe the situation of the snow mastiffs. Lu Haibin stood beside him and carefully served him, holding a fan in his hand. Although the temperature in the kennel was very low, he still went forward to fan from time to time with a flattering face. Qin Haodong felt secretly funny. He was just a veterinarian. Why did he have to be so pretentious? Lin Ziyuan saw that Chu Wankai was treating the dogs. Out of politeness he didn't speak, just stood by and watched. "Papa, puppies, bye-bye." The little fellow was very excited, pointing to the two little snow mastiffs and crying, "Papa, why don't the two puppies move? I want to play with them." "Because they are sick. When they get well they can play with me." Qin Haodong stood behind and coaxed Tang Tang, speaking in a low voice. But at this time Lu Haibin, who was flattering beside Chu Wankai, was not happy. He turned back and shouted with a sullen face, "Why are you making noise? Don't you see my teacher is treating the dogs?" The little fellow was looking at the puppies excitedly. She was startled by Lu Haibin's voice and quickly hugged Qin Haodong's neck. "Papa, you are so fierce," the little fellow said with a little nervousness. "Tang Tang, don't be afraid. Didn't I tell you that as long as Papa is here, you don't have to be afraid of anything?" Qin Haodong glanced at Lu Haibin, took the little fellow's little hand and said, "When I came here, Papa said that this is a place for raising dogs, and it is inevitable that there will be dogs barking." "You." Lu Haibin was so angry that he was about to lose his temper. At this time, Chu Wankai put down the telescope, turned back and said, "Don't make noise." Then he said to Bai Zipping, "Mr. Bai, you know that the rule of my seeing a doctor is that I can't be disturbed. Please go out." Qin Haodong frowned slightly when he saw that the master and the apprentice were so pretentious. He was just a veterinarian. How could he ask others to leave and keep quiet when seeing a doctor? Was it really good to be so pretentious? At this time, Bai Zipping saw Qin Haodong and the little fellow and knew that they were brought by Lin Ziyuan. He and Lin Ziyuan had been friends for many years. Even if he gave up the 2 snow mastiffs worth 30 million yuan, the friendship between them could not be shaken. Naturally, he would not drive them away. Mr. Chu, this is my old friend and his family. Is it okay to have a look here? Before Chu Wankai could speak, Lu Haibin cried, how can it be okay? My teacher is the best veterinarian in Jiangnan province. What if someone secretly learns his medical skills? Chu Wankai said arrogantly, Mr. Bai, if you can't meet my conditions, then I won't see this disease. You know, there is a long line of people asking me to see a doctor. Bai Zipping frowned slightly. He really didn't want to talk nonsense with these two people. He said, I will add 50,000 yuan to the consultation fee. Is there any problem? That's no problem. I can still overcome this little difficulty. Chu Wankai immediately agreed as if he had changed into a different person. Then Dr. Chu, please see my dogs as soon as possible. Bai Zipping said lightly. As a businessman, he had seen many profit-seeking villains like Chu Wankai and Lu Haibin, so he was not surprised. Moreover, Chu Wankai was indeed a little famous in the veterinary industry. It was said that many people's pets were cured by him. Chu Wankai said, I have already seen that these 2 snow mastiffs are sick because of the heat in their bodies. You know, Tibet is a very cold area, but it is very hot in Jiangnan province. People can't adapt to the climate, let alone these 2 dogs. Can they be cured? Bai Zipping asked. These days, many veterinarians came to see him. Basically, they all said that the Tibetan mastiffs were not adapted to the climate and the heat in their bodies, but there was no way to cure them. Chu Wankai said proudly, of course I can cure them. I am the best veterinarian in Jiangnan province. Later, I will give the 2 adult snow mastiffs some medicine, and they will be cured soon. But the 2 newborn pups are too weak to be treated with medicine, so I can only give up. Hearing that Chu Wankai could save the 2 adult snow mastiffs, Bai Zipping was slightly relieved. As long as the 2 older ones could be saved, the younger ones could be reborn in the future. Then I will have to trouble Mr. Chu. Chu Wankai took 2 injections from Lu Haibin and gave them to Bai Zipping. He said, ask your dog trainer to inject the 2 Tibetan mastiffs immediately, and they will be effective soon. Chapter 30. That's easy. I have an anesthetic. Where's the gun? As a professional veterinarian, Chu Wankai was well prepared. He waved his hand and took out an anesthetic from the toolbox in Lu Haibin's hand. After filling the gun with medicine, he was going to shoot the 2 adult snow mastiffs in the cage. Papa, why do they want to shoot the dogs? The little fellow cried nervously. Qin Haodong said, because they are useless. They can't cure the dogs, so they want to kill the dogs. Boy, what are you talking about? Chu Wankai put down the anesthetic in his hand. He glared at Qin Haodong and then said to Bai Zipping, Mr. Bai, you see, everyone is talking nonsense here. I don't want to cure this disease. Bai Zipping looked at Lin Ziyuan. He didn't know who Qin Haodong was, but he also felt that it was too much. Lin Ziyuan said, Old Bai, this is Dr. Qin Haodong I told you about. Bai Zipping originally thought that the doctor who cured Lin Momo should be old, but he didn't expect it to be the young man in front of him, which made him slightly surprised. But he still stepped forward and said enthusiastically, Hello, Dr. Qin. Qin Haodong nodded slightly and said, Mr. Bai, if you let these 2 idiots continue to make trouble, they will definitely kill your snow mastiffs. Asshole, who are you calling idiots? My teacher is a famous veterinarian. Who are you? What qualifications do you have to say that my teacher is making trouble? Chu Wankai and Lu Haibin screamed like cats whose tails had been stepped on. Qin Haodong didn't even look at them and said to Bai Zipping, These 2 snow mastiffs are now very weak. If you give them anesthetic needles, the male mastiff may be able to survive, but the female mastiff will definitely die. After hearing Qin Haodong's words, Bai Zipping suddenly became nervous. Who are you? Why haven't I heard of you as a veterinarian in Jiangnan? Chu Wankai asked coldly. It's normal that you haven't heard of me because I'm not a veterinarian but a doctor. A doctor? Chu Wankai suddenly got angry and shouted, Doctors and veterinarians are 2 completely different professions. Why are you pretending here? Even if you are a famous doctor, you can't treat dogs. Qin Haodong said disdainfully, Don't look at others with your useless eyes. Whether it's a doctor or a dog, there are many similarities. It's just that you don't understand. Seeing that the young man in front of him was not a veterinarian, Chu Wankai immediately became confident and shouted to Bai Zipping, Mr. Bai, I won't treat this disease. Qin Haodong knew very clearly that the old man just wanted to threaten Bai Zipping. He sneered and said, "It's better if you don't cure them. Otherwise, these snow mastiffs will be killed by you." Lu Haibin chimed in, "Don't talk nonsense. My teacher is the best veterinarian in Jiangnan province." Qin Haodong smiled disdainfully and said to Bai Zipping, "Mr. Bai, your two snow mastiffs are not suffering from the heat at all. On the contrary, they are suffering from the evil cold. If you let this idiot inject the medicine to clear the heat and remove the fire, these two snow mastiffs will die." "What a joke. It's a big joke." Chu Wankai shouted, "Boy, what do you know? Tibetan mastiffs live in Tibet, which is a very cold area. Even -60 or 70 degrees Celsius is not a problem. How can the cold evil enter their bodies? Even if you talk nonsense, you should have some common sense, okay?" Bai Zipping also frowned slightly. It was common sense that ordinary people knew that Tibetan mastiffs were afraid of heat and cold. Because of this, he specially built this kennel and wanted to help Tibetan mastiffs survive this difficult summer through air conditioning. Qin Haodong said, "Tibetan mastiffs live in cold areas and are not afraid of the cold. But air conditioning is artificial air conditioning, which is against the way of nature. This kind of cold air can even make people get air conditioning disease, let alone Tibetan mastiffs who are close to nature." He turned to look at Bai Zipping again. "Mr. Bai, think about it. After these two snow mastiffs entered the air-conditioned room, their bodies got worse day by day. And some time ago you found someone to treat them, and they basically used the medicine to clear the heat and remove the fire. How was the effect? If I'm not wrong, I'm afraid that every time the medicine was used, the Tibetan mastiffs' bodies would be weakened. Otherwise they would not have reached the present level." Bai Zipping's face changed. It was true that, as Qin Haodong said, the two snow mastiffs had just arrived in Jiangnan City, and although they were not used to it, they were still healthy. Since they entered this air-conditioned room, they were getting worse day by day. He found some veterinarians to treat them, and the result of the treatment was that the Tibetan mastiffs were getting worse day by day. These people also thought that the Tibetan mastiffs were suffering from the heat, so they used the medicine to clear the heat and remove the fire. Now it seemed that it was a treatment to make things worse. No wonder the mother Tibetan mastiff was dying. "You, a doctor who treats people, come to treat dogs and say that I made a wrong diagnosis. It's ridiculous." Chu Wankai said to Bai Zipping again, "Every profession has its own specialization. Don't listen to a doctor's nonsense. I'm a professional veterinarian. These two snow mastiffs were obviously suffering from the heat. The reason why they couldn't be cured was that those people were not good enough and the medicine was wrong. As long as my two medicines were injected, they would be effective immediately." Qin Haodong stopped talking. He had said what he wanted to say. As for how to choose, it was Bai Zipping's business. If he chose Chu Wankai, it was the fate of the snow mastiffs. "Old Bai, listen to me. Dr. Qin's medical skills are very superb. It's right to believe in him." Lin Ziyuan was very convinced of Qin Haodong and was now his hardcore fan. "Papa is so powerful. He can definitely cure the dogs." The little fellow cried in a childish voice. Bai Zipping hesitated for a moment, but soon made a decision. He chose to believe in Qin Haodong. Because the prescriptions prescribed by those doctors were indeed to clear the heat and remove the fire. Now the two snow mastiffs almost died and there was no effect at all. "Dr. Qin, please treat these two snow mastiffs." Seeing that Bai Zipping did not believe in him, Chu Wansai's face changed and he said, "Mr. Bai, if you don't need me to treat them now, the consultation fee will be 10 times higher when you come to me later." In his view, it was impossible for Qin Haodong, a doctor who treated people, to cure the two snow mastiffs, and Bai Zipping would definitely come to him later. So he did not leave but stood there and looked at them coldly, waiting to see Qin Haodong lose face and waiting for Bai Zipping to beg him again. Qin Haodong said, "Mr. Bai, I can cure these two snow mastiffs, but let's talk about the consultation fee first. I don't want the money. I just want the two little snow mastiffs. If you agree, I'll do it now." He had seen that Bai Zipping's snow mastiffs were very pure, and the little fellow liked puppies. It was just right to take the two little snow mastiffs back. "Okay." Bai Zipping immediately agreed. Chu Wankai had just sentenced the two puppies to death, and he also felt that they could not be saved. Naturally, he did not care about using these two puppies as the consultation fee. "Well, I'll treat the snow mastiffs now," Qin Haodong said as he sent the little fellow to Lin Ziyuan's arms, and then took out the needle bag from his pocket. Bai Zipping asked in surprise, "Dr. Qin, what do you mean?" "Acupuncture. I'm a Chinese medicine practitioner, and I'm going to treat the snow mastiffs through acupuncture. Ha, 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 it's so funny. It's the first time I've heard of acupuncture for dogs. It's funny, it's really funny. After Qin Haodong finished speaking, Chu Wankai and his apprentice convulsed with laughter, and their eyes were full of disdain. Dr. Qin, will it work? Bai Zipping asked worriedly. Of course it will work. I'll give you 2 alive and kicking snow mastiffs in 10 minutes. Qin Haodong said confidently. In his eyes, there was not much difference between the treatment of humans and dogs, and the silver needles were just to deceive people, and the real therapeutic effect was the greenwood genuine qi. Boy, didn't you just say that we should use anesthesia? Is the gun not suitable? Now let's see what you can do. Lu Haibin said with a sarcastic face. No anesthesia? Let's see how you can give acupuncture to the snow mastiffs. Chu Wankai was also gloating, waiting to watch the fun with his arms crossed. The ferocity of Tibetan mastiffs was well known, and their strong bite force could make them eat wooden sticks like fried dough twists, which was no less than that of lions and tigers. Although the 2 snow mastiffs were sick now, they were definitely not people that ordinary people could approach, especially the male mastiff whose condition was less serious. Its blood-red eyes were so daunting that even the dog trainers of the dogfighting ring did not dare to approach it. Qin Haodong did not look at the 2 people and strode toward the iron gate. Bai Zipping took his hand and said, Dr. Qin, will it work? Snow mastiffs are very fierce, and now they have become extremely irritable after giving birth. Qin Haodong smiled slightly and said, Don't worry, they won't bite me. Are you kidding? Do you think you are beautiful? They won't bite you, and they won't bite you to death. If they don't bite you with needles, I'll call you father in the future. Chu Wansai's face was full of sarcasm and gloating. He had been a veterinarian for so many years, but he had never heard that Tibetan mastiffs would not bite anyone except their owners. Even some very fierce Tibetan mastiffs did not dare to get too close to their owners. Qin Haodong looked back at him with a playful smile and said, Remember, this is what you said. Don't go back on your words later. Go back on my words? Let's talk about it when you can come out alive. Chu Wankai said indifferently. Although Qin Haodong was full of confidence, Bai Zipping was still a little worried. He hurriedly called 2 dog trainers to be on guard next to him. Once the Tibetan mastiffs went crazy, they would immediately save them. Qin Haodong did not care about this. He directly opened the iron gate and walked in. Seeing that he really walked into the kennel of the Tibetan mastiffs without any precaution, everyone became nervous. The 2 dog trainers clenched the wooden sticks in their hands. They did not understand what this young man wanted to do. Wasn't he courting death? There was no way to find excitement like this. The little fellow shouted in Lin Ziyuan's arms, Papa, be careful. Dogs can bite. Seeing someone coming in, the female Tibetan mastiff, who had closed her eyes, opened them, revealing a pair of blood-red eyes. The male Tibetan mastiff stared at Qin Haodong and then walked over step by step. Every time the male Tibetan mastiff took a step forward with its huge claws, the people outside the cage became more nervous. Bai Zipping could not help but cry out, Dr. Qin, you'd better come out quickly. It's too dangerous. How dare you call yourself a doctor? This is simply a psychopath. Both Chu Wankai and Lu Haibin laughed. They were waiting to see the scene of the Tibetan mastiff biting a living person. Just when everyone was on tenterhooks, an unexpected scene happened. The huge male Tibetan mastiff came to Qin Haodong, first shook its tail, and then obediently lay in front of Qin Haodong. Its big head was close to the ground, and its thick tongue kept licking the soles of Qin Haodong's shoes. Its face was respectful and flattering, like a pug that had not seen its owner for many years. Chapter 31. Chu Wankai and Lu Haibin's eyes almost bulged out of their sockets. They couldn't believe what they saw. What the hell, what's going on? You are a Tibetan mastiff, okay? Aren't you the king of dogs? Aren't you ferocious beyond compare? Didn't you just give birth to a pup and have a bad temper? How come you start to lick the soles of others' shoes in the blink of an eye? And what's with your eyes? Your face is full of respect and worship, and your saliva is so long that you can't wait to lick the soles of others' shoes. Can you have a little moral integrity? Bai Zipping and the 2 dog trainers were also stunned. They had seen the fierceness of these 2 snow mastiffs, which were strong enough to rival tigers and leopards. They never dreamed that such a situation would happen. They rubbed their eyes hard to make sure that they were not wrong. In the kennel, Qin Haodong impatiently kicked the male mastiff away and shouted, Get down, you've dirted my shoes. After hearing this, the male mastiff immediately bent down obediently in front of Qin Haodong, extremely obedient. Qin Haodong had the powerful spirit of Emperor Greenwood. Instinctively, the two snow mastiffs had already felt his strength and could not resist at all. At the same time, Qin Haodong expressed his idea as soon as he came in that he was here to treat them. The two snow mastiffs naturally wanted to please him, so how could they attack him? He took out the silver needles from the needle bag and pierced more than a dozen silver needles into the body of the snow mastiff in the blink of an eye. Then he used the Greenwood genuine qi to help the snow mastiff sort out the blocked blood vessels in its body. 5 minutes later, Qin Haodong took back the silver needles from the male mastiff. At this time, the male mastiff was completely different from the depression just now. It was full of vigor, like a lion looking up to the sky and roaring, which made the kennel tremble. The people outside the kennel just closed their mouths and opened them again. It was incredible, unexpected that the male mastiff was cured so quickly. Chu Wankai licked his dry lips. He had been a veterinarian for so many years, but he had never seen such magical medical skills. Was he still a human? Behave, what are you yelling for? Qin Haodong kicked the male mastiff away and walked toward the female mastiff. Generally speaking, a female mastiff's mood was more unstable after giving birth, but this female mastiff was not much different from the male mastiff when she saw Qin Haodong. Her face was full of flattery and respect. Although her weak body could not stand up, her big tail was still wagging. Like before, Qin Haodong once again helped the female mastiff with silver needles. Maybe because the female mastiff's body was weak, it took a little more time. After about 7 or 8 minutes, he withdrew the silver needles. As the silver needles left her body, the female mastiff jumped up from the ground. She first hugged Qin Haodong's feet to please him, then bit his trouser leg and dragged him to the two little ones. It was obvious that it wanted Qin Haodong to save the two dying little snow mastiffs. The two little snow mastiffs had just been born and had not eaten a mouthful of milk. Their bodies were extremely weak and it would be much more troublesome to treat them. Finally, Qin Haodong took out a marrow-cleansing pill, broke it in half and fed it to the two little guys. Although the marrow-cleansing pill was precious, these two little snow mastiffs would be her playmates and bodyguards in the future, so it was necessary to invest a little. After feeding them the marrow-cleansing pill, Qin Haodong used Greenwood genuine qi to help the two little snow mastiffs comb the meridians and accelerate the absorption of the medicine. Soon, the two puppies who had just been dying, stood up from the ground and opened their eyes. Bai Zipping was stunned outside and couldn't understand what was going on. Generally speaking, it took 7 days for puppies to open their eyes, but these two little snow mastiffs were only born 2 days ago. Well, I've saved your children, but I'm going to take them away. Qin Haodong patted the head of the female mastiff and the male wolf, then picked up the two little snow mastiffs and walked out of the kennel. Although the two snow mastiffs showed reluctance in their eyes, they just rubbed their heads on Qin Haodong's legs, as if they knew that it was the best way out for them to be taken away by him. Papa, dogs, I want to play with dogs. The little fellow shouted excitedly outside. Seeing his daughter happy, Qin Haodong simply did not close the iron gate of the kennel, and directly brought out the two adult snow mastiffs. Seeing such two big guys out of the cage, the others all retreated, including the two dog trainers who were nervous. It was known that when the adult Tibetan mastiffs went crazy, 10 people could not stop them. Qin Haodong first put the two little snow mastiffs on the ground, and then took the little fellow from Lin Ziyuan's arms. Looking back at the two lion-like snow mastiffs, he said, "It's inconvenient for you two to have no names. From today on you'll be called Big White and Little White." He reached out and patted the male mastiff. "Your name is Big White." Then he patted the female mastiff. "Your name is Little White." The two snow mastiffs seemed to understand his words and kept wagging their tails as if to agree. "This is my daughter. You two have to play with her, do you hear me?" After hearing this, Big White and Little White immediately went forward and stuck out their big tongues. They licked the little fellow's little feet, and the little fellow immediately giggled, and the little fear had disappeared. Qin Haodong simply put the little fellow on the back of Big White. The little fellow grabbed the long hair on Big White's neck and giggled. "Doggy run. Doggy run." The little fellow excitedly patted Big White's back, which made other people's hair stand on end. This was the Tibetan Mastiff that everyone was afraid of, but it was ridden as a horse. Big White did not show any dissatisfaction. He walked around with the little fellow, and Little White followed closely, as if he was afraid that the little fellow would fall down. "Dr. Qin, is this okay? Is it a little dangerous?" Seeing the little fellow playing with the two snow mastiffs, Lin Ziyuan was still a little worried. After all, Big White and Little White could easily swallow the little fellow with their mouths. It's okay. These two guys are very smart. Qin Haodong was not worried. The two snow mastiffs were very intelligent, and it was impossible for them to hurt the little fellow. At this time he looked up and saw Chu Wankai and Lu Haibin slowly moving towards the door of the kennel. He said happily, "You two, where are you going?" Seeing that Qin Haodong had saved the four snow mastiffs, Chu Wankai knew that he would not have a good time if he stayed here. He wanted to sneak away, but he did not expect to be discovered by Qin Haodong. "It's all right here. We should go back," Chu Wankai said embarrassedly. "How could it be all right?" Qin Haodong looked at him playfully and said, "Dr. Chu just said that as long as I am not bitten to death by the Tibetan mastiffs, you will call me father. You won't forget it so soon, will you?" This? Chu Wansai's old face turned red. He did say that, but he could not open his mouth to call a young man in his 20s father. He said embarrassedly, "Dr. Qin, it's all a joke. We don't have to take it seriously, right?" "So, Dr. Chu likes to joke very much?" Qin Haodong said with a smile. Yes, I like to joke." Chu Wankai hurriedly agreed. He thought that Qin Haodong was not going to pursue this matter. "Well, in that case I will also joke with Dr. Chu." After Qin Haodong said that, he waved to Little White next to him, pointed to Chu Wankai and said, "It's too hot. Go and tear off his pants." After hearing the order, Little White immediately let out a low roar and rushed to Chu Wankai. Although Chu Wankai had been a veterinarian for many years, it did not mean that he was not afraid of Tibetan mastiffs. This guy turned around and ran away, but Little White was too fast. He had already knocked Chu Wankai down with one paw and pressed him to the ground. Then he opened his mouth and began to tear his pants. "Help, hurry up and save me," Chu Wankai roared heartbreakingly and directly peed his pants because of Little White. Lu Haibin stood by and watched but did not dare to move for fear that Little White would also push him to the ground. The teeth of Tibetan mastiffs were as sharp as a knife. Soon Chu Wansai's jeans were torn off by Little White, but they were all torn into pieces. Chapter 32. "Dr. Qin, do you think my kennel should be modified?" Bai Zipping asked. Although the kennel cost him nearly 1,000,000 yuan, he would tear it down without hesitation if necessary. Qin Haodong said, "No, I've cured Big White and Little White. They won't get sick easily in the future. It's good like this." Thank you so much, Dr. Qin." Bai Zipping was overjoyed and thanked him again and again. After the matter was dealt with, Qin Haodong and Lin Ziyuan left the dogfighting ring with the little fellow and the two little snow mastiffs. After they left, a dog trainer said to Bai Zipping, "Boss, the two little snow mastiffs are worth more than 5,000,000 yuan each. Won't we lose a lot if we let him take them away?" Bai Zipping waved his hand and said, "What do you know? If it weren't for Dr. Qin, the two puppies would have been dead dogs, not even worth 5 yuan. Now that the big dogs are saved, there will be as many puppies as we want in the future. And Dr. Qin is definitely a master, and our dogfighting ring will have to trouble him in the future. Remember, when you see Dr. Qin you must be polite just like when you see me. If anyone dares to be disrespectful, get out of here immediately." "Yes, we got it, boss." The two dog trainers quickly agreed. Bai Zipping was really far-sighted. Whether it was him or his dogfighting ring, they might rely on Qin Haodong to save their lives in the future. Qin Haodong and the little fellow got in the car together and rushed home. After the two little snow mastiffs joined them, the atmosphere in the car suddenly became much more cheerful. The two little snow mastiffs had just been born, so they were not big. Half a marrow cleansing pill was enough for them to complete the marrow cleansing. At this time, not only had their physical toughness been greatly improved, but they had also opened a small part of their spiritual wisdom. They were full of spirit and extremely smart. They had a lot of fun playing with Tang Tang. When they got home, the little fellow picked up a little snow mastiff and hurried into the room shouting, "Mama, Mama, come and see the dogs." Hearing her daughter's cry, Lin Momo came out of the room. When she saw the two little snow mastiffs' furry and cute appearance, she was immediately conquered by these two little things. Women are born to like small animals, plus the two little snow mastiffs, white and furry, are indeed charmingly naive, and anyone who sees them will like them. What a beautiful puppy. Of course, Lin Momo would not grab the little snow mastiff in her daughter's arms. She stepped forward and directly took the one in Qin Haodong's hand. She held it in her arms and liked it very much. What kind of dog is this, a Pekingese? Pekingese? Qin Haodong was speechless and said, this is a Tibetan Mastiff, not a Pekingese. Lin Momo glared at him charmingly and said, you're talking nonsense again. I've seen Tibetan Mastiffs before. They're like lions. How can they be so cute? Qin Haodong said helplessly, sister, this little snow mastiff is only 2 days old. How old do you want it to be? Impossible, can't you be a little more serious? 2-day-old puppies don't even know how to crawl, so how can they run around like they are now? Qin Haodong didn't bother to explain and said, whatever. If you like Pekingese, you can raise it as a Pekingese. At this time, the little fellow cried, Papa, are the dogs hungry? The 2 little snow mastiffs hadn't eaten anything since they were born. Cutting hair and washing marrow could only strengthen their bodies, but it couldn't fill their hunger. At this time, the 2 little things were running around. They looked like hungry ghosts reincarnated. Well, they're hungry. Find something for them to eat, Qin Haodong said. Tang Tang immediately found a lot of milk in her snacks and fed the 2 little snow mastiffs little by little. Seeing the little fellow feeding a piece of beef jerky to the little snow mastiffs, Lin Momo hurriedly cried, Tang Tang, puppies can't be fed randomly. It's easy to have diarrhea. Qin Haodong said, it doesn't matter. They can eat anything. Don't worry about it. Although the 2 little snow mastiffs were a little small, their bodies were extremely strong. Now their stomach and intestines were comparable to steel, so they had no problem eating anything. With her father's permission, the little fellow fed them more vigorously. The 2 little snow mastiffs could really eat. Not only did they drink the 2 small pots of milk, but they also ate a lot of snacks brought by the little fellow. Lin Momo was amazed again and again. She didn't know where the food was eaten by such a small body. Seeing that the 2 little snow mastiffs were deeply loved by the 2 beauties, Qin Haodong said, these 2 little things came to our house. We have to give them a name, otherwise it's very inconvenient to call them. You're right. They should have a name. Lin Momo said, these 2 puppies are white. Let's call them Big White and Little White. Tang Tang quickly waved her hand and said, no, Big White and Little White are their papa and mama. Lin Momo thought for a moment and said, how about Candy Bean and Candy Grain? Qin Haodong was speechless. Although the 2 little snow mastiffs were cute, he couldn't let them follow his surname. Would be a mess. He quickly said, no, Candy Bean and Candy Grain, we need them when we have children in the future. Yes. I want a younger brother and a younger sister. The little fellow followed. Bah, you wish. Lin Momo's cheeks were crimson. She glared at Qin Haodong and said angrily, this is not good, that is not good. What do you want to call them? Just call them Damao and Ermao. Qin Haodong said. Great. The little fellow immediately raised her hand in agreement. Then she patted the heads of the 2 little snow mastiffs and said, from now on, you will be called Damao and Ermao. Damao and Ermao seemed to be able to understand the little fellow's words and immediately wagged their tails happily. After the family had dinner, Lin Momo and Tang Tang gave Damao and Ermao a bath. The 2 little things looked much cleaner. After playing for a while, the little fellow took Qin Haodong's hand and said, Papa, tomorrow is the weekend. You and Mama take me out to play. I have no problem. Ask your mother if she has time. Qin Haodong said. Mama, can you do it? Other children go out to play with Papa and Mama on weekends. The little fellow looked at Lin Momo with a longing face. Lin Momo hesitated for a moment, but looking at her daughter's longing eyes, she agreed. Since she could not find Tang Tang's biological father, it was good to use this godfather to satisfy her daughter's psychological needs. Great. I can go out to play with Papa and Mama. Tang Tang jumped happily on the ground. Damao and Ermao seemed to be infected by Tang Tang's mood and kept jumping with her. Time passed quickly. It was time to go to bed at night. Tang Tang took Qin Haodong and Lin Momo to bed. Unlike last night, there were 2 more puppies on the bed, sleeping on the left and right of the little fellow. Soon Tang Tang, Damao and Ermao fell asleep. Qin Haodong also wanted to pretend to be asleep, but he was pulled up by Lin Momo. Well, you should go back. Qin Haodong said, it's so late and the bed is big enough. Let me sleep here. No, you are a man. You can't sleep with 2 women. But it is also a male. Qin Haodong said, pointing to Damao who was sleeping on his back. It can, but you can't. Lin Momo said. Alas. Qin Haodong sighed. These days he was not even as good as a dog. But there was no way. Lin Momo insisted on driving him away so he could only get up and go back to his home to sleep. The next morning, Qin Haodong came to Lin's house and cooked a hearty breakfast with Chef Zhang Dafu. Soon the little fellow, Damao and Ermao, smelled the fragrance and ran into the dining room together. Looking at Damao and Ermao, who bowed their heads and ate, Lin Momo said in surprise, "Why do they seem to have grown a lot in just one night?" Lin Ziyuan also said, "Are these the two puppies brought back yesterday? They are really a lot bigger." Tibetan Mastiffs originally grew fast, and with Qin Haodong cutting their hair and marrow, Damao and Ermao's growth speed was naturally much faster than ordinary dogs. It's strange that they don't grow fast when they eat like pigs. I should not have called them Damao and Ermao, but Big Pig and Two Pigs. After Qin Haodong said that, the little fellow giggled. After breakfast, Qin Haodong and Lin Momo went out to play with the little fellow. In order to protect his daughter's safety, Lin Ziyuan increased the number of bodyguards around Lin Momo from the original 4 to 10. The captain of the bodyguards was still Zhang Dishing. Before leaving, he told Zhang Dishing again, "Be careful when you go out and protect the safety of Momo and Tang Tang." Zhang Dishing patted his chest and said, "Don't worry, boss. Nothing will happen as long as I'm here." Qin Haodong shook his head slightly in his heart. Zhang Dishing talked big, but he was not very competent as a bodyguard. Otherwise, Lin Momo would not have been hit last time. But he didn't care about that. In fact, he didn't need other bodyguards at all. He held the little fellow in his arms and got on a stretch Lincoln with Lin Momo. Together with the 3 cars of the bodyguards, the 4 cars formed a small motorcade and rushed to Mickey Children's Paradise. After setting off, Qin Haodong was playing games in the car with Tang Tang in his arms. Suddenly, he keenly felt that there was a disturbance in the cars outside, and they all moved to the side of the road. The Lin family's motorcade also moved to the outermost lane, giving way to the middle road. Then a super luxurious motorcade drove past them. It was a domineering Hummer that opened the way, followed by an RV. Behind the RV were all large SUVs. There were as many as 10 in total. If he hadn't seen the tattooed bodyguards in black sitting in those cars, Qin Haodong would have thought that some big shot from Wuxia had come to Jiangnan. "Whose motorcade is this? Isn't it a little too high profile?" Qin Haodong asked. Lin Momo said, "There is only one person who dares to set up such a battle in Jiangnan, and that is Long Haixing." Qin Haodong asked, "Who is Long Haixing? Is he more powerful than Lin's group?" Lin Momo said, "There is no comparison. Although Lin's group has a high status in Jiangnan, it is a legitimate businessman and never intervenes in underground affairs." Chapter 33. Qin Haodong was just an ordinary college student before, so he had nothing to do with Long Haixing. He had never even heard of him. He smiled and said, "The controller of the underground forces is just a big gangster. What's so great about him?" Lin Momo said with a serious face, "Don't underestimate Long Haixing. Not only you can't afford to provoke him, but also our Lin's group. If you have a chance to meet him in the future, you must avoid him as far as possible." Qin Haodong smiled carelessly. Brother Long and the controller of the underground forces were nothing in his eyes. Seeing that he didn't take her words seriously, Lin Momo added, "Long Haixing's strength is beyond your imagination. Just last year, the director of the Industry and Commerce Bureau had a conflict with him and said that he would investigate his business. As a result, he was taken away by someone from the province within a few days, and then there was no news. Also, some time ago, a large company competed with Long Haixing for business. Not only did it fail, but it also angered Long Haixing. Long Haixing just said a word, and no one in Jiangnan City dared to do business with this company. At the same time, the departments of industry and commerce, taxation and other departments all came to investigate, and major banks also stopped lending to this company. Soon, a large company not much weaker than Lin's group was bankrupted. Qin Haodong nodded slightly. It seemed that Brother Long did have some means. Soon after this episode, they arrived at Mickey Children's Park. Because the little fellow was too young, Qin Haodong and Lin Momo didn't take her to play too exciting games. They played Winnie the Pooh, Sweet Jar, Peter Pan and other children's games. The little fellow had a good time and kept giggling. She was very happy to play with her parents. "Papa, I want to play that." The little fellow pointed to the merry-go-round not far away. "Okay, Papa will take you there." The merry-go-round was a favorite of many children. They waited in line for almost 20 minutes before it was their turn. Qin Haodong put the little fellow on a red merry-go-round. He and Lin Momo stood beside her. Just as they were waiting for the merry-go-round to start, someone suddenly shouted, "Stop! Get out!" He turned around and saw a group of people standing outside the amusement park. It was a middle-aged couple with a 5 or 6-year-old boy. Behind them stood 30 to 40 men in black. The middle-aged man was dressed in a Chinese tunic suit. He was neither tall nor strong, but he exuded a powerful aura. The middle-aged woman next to him was dressed very flirtatiously. The little boy in her arms was very thin and weak. He looked very dispirited and sickly, and his head was bald without a single strand of hair. The one who shouted was a bald man with dragon tattoos all over his body. His face was ferocious and he looked particularly fierce. Seeing the bald man's appearance, the people in the amusement park left one after another. After all, these people seemed to have extraordinary origins. Ordinary people could not afford to offend them. Seeing that his place had been cleared, the staff of the amusement park hurried over and said, "Sir, what can I do for you? Our young master wants to ride the merry-go-round. We'll book this place. We won't forget the money." The bald man said as he took out a few bills and threw them into the arms of the staff. "I'm also a gangster. Why should you let us go?" A middle-aged man with tattoos all over his body shouted unhappily. He had just shouted a few words when he was slapped in the face by the bald man. "Brother Long has booked this place. What nonsense are you talking about?" "Brother Long? Which Brother Long?" the middle-aged man asked, covering his face. The bald man slapped him again and scolded, "Are you a king idiot? Who dares to call himself Brother Long in the south of the Yangtze River?" This time, the middle-aged man did not dare to say a word. He took the little girl next to him and left in a panic. Soon, all the people in the amusement park ran away, leaving only Qin Haodong and the other two. At this time, Zhang Dishing hurried into the amusement park with his bodyguards and whispered, "It's Long Haisheng's people outside. Let's go first." Long Haisheng. Qin Haodong smiled slightly. He had just mentioned the underground controller, but he did not expect to meet him so soon. "Are you afraid? If you are, leave first. I'll take Tang Tang to play here." Looking at Zhang Dishing's panic, Qin Haodong was quite disdainful. Zhang Dishing's face was bitter. As a bodyguard, of course, he could not leave his master alone. But he was really afraid of provoking Long Haisheng. "President Lin?" In a hurry, he turned to look at Lin Momo. Lin Momo said, "Haodong, we'd better leave first. We can't afford to provoke Long Haisheng. He may bring trouble to the group." Qin Haodong did not take Long Haisheng seriously at all. But he thought about it. After all, he was not alone. It was not good to cause trouble to Lin's group because of this. Thinking of this, he said to the little fellow, "Tang Tang, let's go to play something else first. We'll come here to play the merry-go-round later, okay?" "What? I've been waiting for a long time," the little fellow said reluctantly, "because the child is sick and wants to play the merry-go-round alone. Let's give it to him, okay?" Qin Haodong had already seen that the little boy in the middle-aged woman's arms was seriously ill. All his hair had fallen out because of chemotherapy. "All right then." The little fellow nodded. Qin Haodong picked up Tang Tang and they were ready to walk out of the amusement park. At this time, the middle-aged woman had already stood at the gate of the amusement park with the little boy in her arms. She shouted arrogantly to the inside, "What's the matter? Why are you still here?" Zhang Dishing quickly stepped forward with a smile and said, "We're from Lin's group. We'll go right away, right away." The reason why he first announced the name of Lin's group was that he was afraid that Brother Long's men would suddenly attack him. Anyway, Lin's group still had a very high status in Jiangnan City. It was estimated that Long Haisheng would give him some face. After hearing the name of Lin's group, the woman just snorted and shouted, "Get out of here." She was Long Haisheng's wife, Chao Ting. Obviously, she did not take Lin's group seriously. Qin Haodong frowned and was about to lose his temper. Lin Momo quickly pulled him out. If they offended Long Haisheng, it was definitely not a good thing for Lin's group. At this time, the little boy in Chao Ting's arms saw Tang Tang and said, "Mom, that little sister is so beautiful. I want to play with her." Chao Ting turned to look at the little boy in her arms. The fierce and arrogant expression on her face instantly turned into a doting expression. "Xiaoba, your body is too weak. Let's play by ourselves, okay?" After that, she turned back to Qin Haodong and others and shouted, "What are you doing? Hurry up." "No, Mom, I want to play with that little sister. Her hair is so beautiful," the little boy said and cried. Chao Ting turned to look at Tang Tang with a fierce expression. "Dafe, tear off all the hair of that little fox for me." Let's see how she can seduce my son. Qin Haodong had been suppressing his anger no longer. Tang Tang was his reverse scale. No one could let the little fellow suffer any grievances. Chao Ting was shouting arrogantly there, but she felt a pain on her face. She only heard a crisp sound and a big slap on her face. At this time, the arena fell into silence as if time had stopped. Zhang Disheng's mouth was so big that a steamed bun could be stuffed in it. He never dreamed that Qin Haodong would dare to hit Chao Ting. Who was Chao Ting? She was Brother Long's wife, the sister-in-law of the underground world in Jiangnan. She didn't expect that Qin Haodong, who had always been happy, would be so irritable and hit her. But Qin Haodong seemed to have done a trivial thing. He bowed his head to the little boy and said, "Kid, don't learn from your mother. Her mouth is really stinky. Bastard, how dare you hit me?" Chao Ting was stunned for a while before she came to her senses. She shouted hysterically, "Come on, chop him for me." At this time, the bald man named Dafei rushed in from outside, followed by Long Haisheng with a murderous face. He stepped in front of Qin Haodong and said with a gloomy face, "Boy, how dare you touch my woman?" Qin Haodong said happily, "It's nothing. Your woman is too rude. I'll help you educate her." Zhang Disheng felt that his legs began to tremble. He wondered if Qin Haodong was crazy. He not only hit Chao Ting, but also dared to tease Long Haisheng. It was terrible. He didn't know if Long Haisheng would destroy all of them in a rage. He nodded and bowed to say, "Brother? Brother Long, this is a misunderstanding. We are from Lin's group." Lin's group? Long Haisheng's face eased a little. He glanced at Lin Momo and said, "Well, I've had a drink with Lin Ziyuan. How about this, you all go and leave him to me." After that, he looked at Qin Haodong coldly. As the master of the underground world, no one dared to slap his face in public. Zhang Disheng finally breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that Long Haisheng was not as unreasonable as his wife. He finally gave Lin's group some face. He looked at Lin Momo expectantly, hoping that she could take them away from here as soon as possible. Who knew when Brother Long would go back on his words? Lin Momo hesitated for a moment, but she did not leave. She stepped forward and took Qin Haodong's arm. She said to Long Haisheng, "I'm sorry, Brother Long. My boyfriend was a little impulsive and hit my sister-in-law. But Lin's group is willing to compensate. How much money do you need? We'll give it right away." "Money? The last thing I lack is money." Long Haisheng's face changed. "Since you don't want to accept my kindness, then don't leave." Anger rose in his heart. A gigolo boy dared to hit his wife in public. Now a woman used money to make things difficult for him. It seemed that Long Haisheng's words didn't work. Even a cat or a dog dared to bully me. Seeing that Lin Momo did not leave him at the critical moment, Qin Haodong felt warm in his heart. This little girl was very loyal. He put Tang Tang in Lin Momo's arms and then protected them behind him. He proudly said to Long Haisheng, "Who are you? Since when did you have the right to decide whether we leave or not?" Chapter 34. Ha 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 ha, what am I? Long Haisheng was so angry that he laughed. He pointed at Qin Haodong's nose and shouted, "I tell you in Jiangnan City, whoever I want will live and whoever I want to die will die." Lin Momo's heart sank. She thought it was over. Originally, she could talk to Long Haisheng with the face of Lin's group. Now there was no hope of negotiation at all. Even if Lin Ziyuan was there, it would be useless. She didn't understand why Qin Haodong challenged Long Haisheng, who was not an impulsive person. At this time, Chao Ting jumped over and screamed, "Honey, chop him to death. You must chop him to death." Long Haisheng shouted angrily, "Dafei, do it? Kill him for me." The bald man had been waiting for a long time, waiting for his master's order. He cracked his knuckles and looked at Qin Haodong with a grim smile. "Boy, you're looking for death." He was 1.9 meters tall with bulging muscles all over his body. He was like a steel cast which made people feel scared. Zhang Disheng's bodyguards couldn't summon up any courage to fight him when they saw his fierce appearance. Dafei was Long Haisheng's #1 general. He had practiced martial arts since he was a child and played underground boxing for many years when he grew up. He was skilled and ruthless. He had made great contributions to Long Haisheng over the years. He once chased and killed more than a dozen people, and no one dared to provoke him in the underground world. After that, he punched Qin Haodong in the face. His arm looked thicker than an ordinary person's thigh. If it really hit Qin Haodong's face, he would be dead or disabled. When Zhang Dixing and others saw the power of this punch, their expressions changed greatly. They involuntarily stepped back for fear of being affected. The little fellow also seemed to feel something wrong. She lay in Lin Momo's arms and cried in fear, "Mama, I'm scared." Qin Haodong seemed to be fine. He turned back and smiled at the little fellow. "Tang Tang, don't be afraid of anything as long as Daddy is here." As he said that, he didn't look back at all. He raised his hand and grabbed Dafei's fist. It seemed that he had eyes on the back of his head. He firmly held Dafei's fierce fist. Dafei's expression suddenly changed. His punch had the strength of hundreds of kilograms, which could penetrate a few planks of wood. Unexpectedly, it was casually taken by the young man in front of him. He retracted his fist, feeling as if he had just punched an iron plate. His knuckles were in pain from the shock and he couldn't help but feel apprehensive. "I didn't expect you to be a martial artist." After that, he pulled out a shiny dagger from his waist and stabbed Qin Haodong's chest with a flash of cold light. Qin Haodong frowned. It seemed that this guy really wanted to kill him. Since he was so ruthless, he couldn't blame him for being rude. He lifted one foot as fast as lightning and kicked Dafei's wrist lightly with the tip of his foot. With a crack, the wrist was broken into two pieces and the dagger flew out of his hand. Then he kicked Dafei hard in the chest. In everyone's incredulous eyes, Dafei's tall body flew out like a broken sack and hit the merry-go-round next to him. "Dafei, how are you?" Long Haixing's face was gloomy. Dafei was the first general under his command. Today he was defeated by such a weak boy toy. Dafei just felt like he had been hit by a train. It seemed that all his internal organs had been displaced. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Obviously he was badly injured and had no more combat power. "Good boy, you are good at fighting." The muscles on Long Haixing's face twitched involuntarily. He was extremely angry. He had been in charge of the underground forces in Jiangnan for many years. He had never been provoked like this. At this time he just wanted the young man in front of him to know how powerful he was. "No matter how good you are at fighting, let me see how many you can beat." He raised his hand and waved, shouting to the thugs behind him, "Let's go together and chop him to death." After receiving the order, the men in black behind him pulled out weapons such as steel pipes and machetes and rushed up together, shouting. When Zhang Dixing and the others saw this situation, they were already scared and ran far away. Only Qin Haodong stood there alone, facing dozens of big men with machetes in their hands. "You are courting death." In the face of the aggressive men in black, Qin Haodong was no longer polite. He punched and kicked. As long as those men in black were touched, they were either dead or disabled. The weapons such as steel pipes and machetes in their hands could not even touch the corner of Qin Haodong's clothes. Looking at the man in front of her who swore to protect her, Lin Momo felt warm in her heart. For many years she had wanted to find a strong support for herself and her daughter. Today she finally found this feeling. "Papa is so great. Tang Tang loves you." The little fellow was no longer afraid at this time. She clapped her hands to encourage Qin Haodong behind. Soon the battle was over. The whole playground was full of moaning people. They were holding their hands or feet and howling loudly there. Qin Haodong was angry that these people were too cruel, so he showed no mercy. These people were all injured and almost all of them had their hands and feet broken. He won? Zhang Dixing's eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost. He had never seen such a terrible skill. Lin Momo was also shocked. She only knew that Qin Haodong's medical skills were superb, but she didn't expect that his skills were so good. One person beat dozens of strong men with knives. This kind of scene could only be seen on TV before, but today it happened in front of her eyes. Qin Haodong clapped his hands and walked slowly to Long Haixing and Chao Ting. "How about it? Can you still control my life and death now?" Long Haixing's face was livid. He didn't expect that all his powerful men together were no match for Qin Haodong. This skill was so terrible that he had not seen many people like him in his decades in Jiangnan. But in any case he was the boss who controlled the underground world in Jiangnan. Although he was shocked, he did not panic too much. "Young man, you are really good at fighting. You can beat dozens of people by yourself, but can you beat a gun? I have seen masters before, but in the end that man was killed by a gun. Now in this society, it is useless to rely on fists alone. Believe it or not, I can put you in prison with a phone call now." The more he said, the more proud he was. It seemed that he had regained the initiative. Long Haixing could dominate Jiangnan City not only because of his brothers who could fight, but also because of the power behind him. Otherwise he would have been taken down long ago. Qin Haodong smiled and said, "Believe it or not, I can kill you now?" You did want to kill. If he didn't get rid of this man, there would be a lot of trouble in the future. As the best Chinese medicine practitioner, he had many ways to make Long Haixing die without anyone knowing. No one could find out the cause. Long Haixing had been in Jianghu for many years, but at this moment he felt a great threat from the young man in front of him. Although Qin Haodong had always been happy, his sharp eyes made him feel scared. Just then a voice came from outside the amusement park. "Dr. Qin, why are you here?" Qin Haodong turned his head and saw Bai Zipping coming in from outside. After seeing the injured men in black and Long Haixing with a livid face, Bai Zipping asked in surprise, "Haixing? What's going on?" His dogfighting ring was also a shady business. Naturally, it was related to Long Haixing, the ruler of the underground world. Long Haixing held 30% of the shares of the dogfighting ring. At the same time they were relatives. "Cousin, do you know this man?" Long Haixing asked. "Haixing, this is Dr. Qin I told you about. His medical skills are very good, and he can definitely cure Xiaobao's disease." It turned out that after seeing Qin Haodong's magical medical skills yesterday, Bai Zipping wanted to introduce Qin Haodong to Long Haixing to help treat his son Xiaobao. They had just made an appointment to meet at the amusement park by phone, but Bai Zipping came a little late. "You mean he's the little magic doctor?" Long Haixing asked incredulously. "It's true. Dr. Qin's medical skills can only be described as magical." Bai Zipping made a solemn vow. At first, he didn't believe it when he heard Lin Ziyuan talk about Qin Haodong, but he was completely convinced by what he saw with his own eyes yesterday. Although there was some difference between treating people and treating dogs, the medical skills were still the same. Long Haixing's face changed. His son was diagnosed with leukemia 3 years ago. He barely survived to this day by relying on his family's huge financial resources. However, the doctor said that he could only live for 3 months at most. In order to treat his son, he had seen almost all the famous doctors in the world in recent years, but no one could cure Xiaobao's disease. When he heard about Qin Haodong's magical medical skills, a glimmer of hope rose in his heart. He didn't expect that they would meet in this way. "As long as you can cure my son's disease, today's matter will be written off, and you will be my friend in the future." For his son's disease he finally put down his pride. Qin Haodong smiled slightly. "If I'm right, your son got leukemia 3 years ago. He had 5 times of chemotherapy during that period, but the effect was not very ideal. If he can't get effective treatment he can live for 3 months at most." This time not only Long Haixing but also Chao Ting next to him was shocked. Someone who could tell Xiaobao's disease so clearly was definitely not an ordinary person. Bai Zipping asked, "Dr. Qin, can you cure this disease?" Qin Haodong said, "It's just leukemia. It's no big deal. As long as I want to, I can cure him in minutes." Long Haixing was overjoyed and said excitedly, "Little brother, really? When can you cure my son?" Qin Haodong said, "I just said I can cure it. When did I say I would cure your son?" This, Long Haixing's face suddenly changed. Bai Zipping hurriedly said, "Dr. Qin, please treat this child. No one in the world can save Xiaobao except you. I can cure the disease but I'm in a bad mood now. I don't want to cure people." Chapter 35. Although Qin Haodong had always regarded it as his duty to save people, these people just stabbed him, especially that hateful woman who insulted his little fellow and pulled out his hair. It was unforgivable in any case. Long Haixing hurried forward and said, "Dr. Qin, I was blind just now and offended you. Please be generous and save my son." Qin Haodong said, "You are Brother Long, the underground controller of Jiangnan City. You can kill whoever you want. You have countless brothers. You don't need to beg me." This, Long Haixing was embarrassed. He knew that he had gone too far just now. He looked at Bai Zipping eagerly, hoping that Bai Zipping could say something good to persuade Qin Haodong. At this time Chao Ting rushed to the front. She blocked Qin Haodong's way and screamed, "Tell me, how much money do you want? As long as you can cure my son, money is not a problem." Qin Haodong glanced at the unreasonable woman and said coldly, "Are you very rich? Of course, don't you just want money? I have plenty of money." In Chao Ting's view, the young man in front of her just wanted to take the opportunity to make more money. Qin Haodong sneered at her and said, "Since you have so much money, burn it to hell and see if you can buy your son's life." "What do you mean? Do you know who we are? We have already given you enough face by begging you. In Jiangnan City, as long as we show up, I don't know how many doctors will rush to serve us. Well, whoever is willing to serve you can find him. Anyway, I won't cure him. Qin Haodong was too lazy to pay attention to this unreasonable woman and walked out of the amusement park with the little fellow in his arms. You. Chao Ting was so angry that her face turned pale. She cried, "Boy, I tell you, you can't survive in Jiangnan City if you offend Brother Long." Qin Haodong stopped and looked back at her. He pointed to the wailing men in black and said, "Do you think you still have the capital to threaten me now?" Chao Ting was stunned. She was used to being arrogant and threatening others. At this time she realized how fierce the young man in front of her was. Her men had been put down. It was already Amitabha that he did not make trouble for her. Thinking of this, she involuntarily took 2 steps back. At this moment, the little boy behind her said weakly, "Mommy, I feel terrible." After saying that, he fell to the ground with a thump. His whole body began to twitch and his face was pale. It seemed that his life was at stake. "Xiaobao, are you okay, Xiaobao? Don't scare your mother." Chao Ting rushed to the little boy's side, but no matter how she shouted, there was no response. She suddenly thought of Qin Haodong. She turned around and shouted, "Tell me, how much do you want to save my son?" Qin Haodong sighed. It seemed that this woman was really hopeless. "Keep your money for yourselves. I won't be accompanying you. Don't go, please don't go. As long as you are willing to save my son, I will agree to any condition." Chao Ting felt Qin Haodong's coldness and finally put away her arrogance. Qin Haodong ignored him and continued to stride out of the amusement park. Chao Ting rushed up and lay on the ground. She hugged Qin Haodong's calf and cried, "Dr. Qin, I know I was wrong. Please save my son. I deserve to die. Please forgive me, but the child is innocent." As she spoke, she slapped herself in the face, looking extremely miserable. Bai Zipping came over and said, "Dr. Qin, she already knows she was wrong. Please forgive her once. In fact, I have known Chao Ting for a long time. She was not like this originally. She was a very gentle and kind woman. Since Xiaobao had leukemia, her temperament changed greatly and she became what she is now. In fact, she is also a poor mother who loves her child." The little fellow said, "Papa, look at that little brother. He is so pitiful. Please save him." As a mother, Lin Momo also felt the same. She also stepped forward and whispered, "Yes, Haodong, please help them." Seeing so many people pleading, Qin Haodong's heart softened. Indeed, the child was innocent. He stepped in front of the little boy and laid his body flat on the ground. Then he took out the needle bag and quickly inserted the needles. As dozens of silver needles were inserted, the little boy's reaction slowly calmed down. He stopped twitching and his face regained some color. 10 minutes later, Qin Haodong withdrew the silver needles. The little boy slowly opened his eyes and saw Qin Haodong in front of him. He asked, "Uncle, am I dead?" Looking at such a pair of ignorant eyes, Qin Haodong felt warm in his heart and said, "No, I'm here. You can't die." The little boy's originally extremely dull face showed a touch of joy. He said hopefully, "Uncle, can you really cure my disease?" Before Qin Haodong could speak, Tang Tang rushed to say, "Of course. My papa is a very good doctor. Can I grow hair too?" The little boy's eyes were filled with excitement. After all, survival was everyone's instinct. He had just experienced too many treatment failures and was on the verge of despair. Qin Haodong said, "Of course you can grow hair when you're cured." Seeing that her son had recovered, Chao Ting went over and held the little boy tightly in her arms. "Xiaobao, you scared me to death. Dr. Qin, how is Xiaobao's illness?" Long Haixing came over and asked nervously. At this time he was no longer a big boss. Qin Haodong looked at him and said seriously, "Leukemia is nothing more than a kind of blood poison. As long as the poison is removed, he can recover. I have just carried out the first treatment for him, but he has been ill for a long time, so the poison in his body can't be removed at once. I will write you a prescription now. Go back and give him medicine according to the prescription. I will carry out the second treatment a week later. After about 3 times he will be cured." "Really, Dr. Qin, thank you. Thank you so much." Long Haixing said and bowed deeply to Qin Haodong. No matter how high his status was, he was just an ordinary father who cared about his son. Qin Haodong took out a pen and paper and quickly wrote a prescription and handed it to Long Haixing. "I have written the instructions on the paper. Take the medicine according to the prescription in the future, and you don't have to do chemotherapy anymore." The little boy in Chao Ting's arms stood up and was playing with the little fellow. He had no friends for a long time, and was refused by his parents to contact other children. Now he finally had a playmate and he looked very happy. Chao Ting saw that her son could finally be like a normal child, and tears could not stop flowing from her eyes. She knelt in front of Qin Haodong and kowtowed. Dr. Qin, thank you for saving my son. I was wrong just now. You can scold me or beat me. Qin Haodong sighed softly in his heart. Although this woman was unreasonable, she was a good mother. Well, get up. Let bygones be bygones. Long Haixing said, Dr. Qin, you will be my great benefactor in the future. If you need anything, just tell me. I will never say no. Qin Haodong smiled slightly and accepted Long Haixing's gratitude. He did not want to make such a powerful enemy for Lin's group. Seeing that the two had become friends, Bai Zipping pointed to the thugs in black who were moaning on the ground and said, Dr. Qin, can you help treat these people? The grievances between the two sides had been resolved. Qin Haodong nodded. He stepped to the front of Dafei, grabbed the injured wrist and pulled it. With a click, the broken wrist was connected in the blink of an eye. Dafei did not expect that the wrist, which was painful just now, was connected in the blink of an eye. There was no more pain. He said gratefully, Thank you, Dr. Qin. Don't use force within 7 days. It will be fine after 7 days. Then Qin Haodong stepped to the next man in black. In less than 10 minutes he had cured all the injuries of these people. Magic skill. It's really a magic skill. Long Haixing said with admiration. Dr. Qin, I have been in Jianghu for more than 30 years. I have never seen such magical medical skills. I really admire you. Then he took out a bank card from his pocket and gave it to Qin Haodong. Dr. Qin, here is 5 million yuan. Please accept it. Qin Haodong took the bank card and put it in his pocket. Then he said, Your son seems to have leukemia, but in fact, it has something to do with you killing too many people in these years. You and your wife should do more good deeds in the future. Otherwise, next time it may not be a disease but an unexpected disaster. Long Haixing's expression changed. He hesitated for a moment and said, Dr. Qin, do you want me to quit this circle? No, the underground circle needs to be controlled by someone. Remember to do more good deeds in the future. Qin Haodong was very clear that where there was sunshine there was darkness. The underground world needed to be controlled by someone. If Long Haixing really quit, the underground world of Jiangnan City would be in chaos, which was not a good thing for the whole Jiangnan City. Long Haixing bowed and said, Thank you for your advice, Dr. Qin. I have learned a lot. After all the things were done, Long Haixing asked his men to leave the amusement park. At the same time he lifted the blockade of the amusement park. Like a pair of ordinary parents, he took Long Xiaobao and Tang Tang to have a good time on the merry-go-round. Half an hour later, Qin Haodong and Lin Momo walked out of the amusement park with the little fellow. They saw Zhang Dixing and 10 other bodyguards standing at the door awkwardly. President Lin Wei. When Zhang Dixing was about to say something, Lin Momo said coldly, Don't talk nonsense. I don't want to hear anything. Now go to the company to get 3 months' salary. You are fired. What? Zhang Dixing was slightly stunned. He thought he would be scolded. He didn't expect that Lin Momo would be so straightforward and directly fired all of them from Lin's group. President Lin, don't do this. Give us another chance. After Zhang Dixing said that, the others behind him also followed and pleaded. As a bodyguard in Lin's group, they were well treated in all aspects. They couldn't find such a good job in other places. Lin Momo glanced at these people coldly and said, I don't want to say the same thing twice. Go now. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.